This meeting is now open. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a blessed week. We'll now have our,
Can I offer some changes to the agenda, Madam
Yes.
Chair? I suggest that we move, no, we need to do it before you start.
Okay.
Item 7, item 8, and item 9, to move those up in that order to right after the moment of silence.
Okay.
I offer that as a motion. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same. All right, that motion carries. Okay, anything else? All right, so that's anything, if there's nothing else, bow our heads for a moment of silence. All right. Corporal Wright is not here this
We're
morning.
gonna go with change 7.
Okay, so, number 7 is the amendment of the organizational chart to add the position for assistant director. I make a motion.
Well, then you want to explain to why we're doing it?
And Ms. House can speak to it as well, but so that the position is created for an assistant executive director in the organizational chart.
In order to be able to move forward with placing somebody in there as an employee, we just have to make sure that the organizational chart reflects the position being the current one on our organization. It's 60.
All right. I move that we add the position of assistant director to our organizational chart. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposers have the same. That motion carries. The next is approval of Ms. Laquita Jones as interim executive director, subject to successful standard pre-employment checks by HR.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve Mrs. Laquita Jones as the interim executive director, subject to successful standard pre-employment checks by HR. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same. That motion carries. Next, approval of Ms. Rhonda Sheffield as interim executive director, successful standard, subject to successful standard pre-employment checks by HR.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve Mrs. Rhonda Sheffield as interim assistant director, successful standard pre-employment checks by HR. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same. That motion carries. Congratulations, Dave. Okay. All right, and we'll go back up to the top now, to the K-PAC report. Corporal Wright is not here this morning, but she has, we can turn to the page where she sent over. Everybody has that report.
What's the status of her? She's been replaced, correct?
Not that I know of. Has she been replaced?
Well, I got a call from Chief Jones, told me that she was being moved to gang investigations, and that they had somebody that wanted to recommend to us. That's when we started talking about the interviews. They
I'm not
hadn't-
aware of,
They had said
She was
that.
on property yesterday.
yeah,
Okay, well, maybe they changed it. That's fine.
maybe they could possibly be in the process of that, maybe seeking that replacement before she's moved.
Well, he told me they had somebody, and he wanted to know how they needed to interview the new person with us.
Gotcha.
So if you can follow up on that.
Sure, absolutely. And
Anybody have any questions on this police report? All right. It seems like McIntyre Court still gets the most. All right. And, next is President Council. There's some takes this morning.
Denise said she has raised certain issues she's trying to deal with.
Okay. And so she provided us a memorandum of understanding. Does everybody have to see that?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. You're up.
Right on time. Say,
Mhm.
you know you timed that perfectly.
Good morning. You just announced your name and. Mhm.
So last meeting that we were filed on the LOU,
Yes.
so they won't have a chance to review it.
Mhm.
I have not had a chance. So
I just was at, I looked it over and submitted it to staff for comments. There were a couple of tweaks to the original MOU. Ms. Hayes made those and staff signed off. They believed it looked fine. So I think if you all don't have any issues with it,
no, I'm fine if y'all and staff. But for the public, can you just say why we're doing it?
Right, so this sets out the relationship between the Brunswick Housing Authority and the resident council. It says what the council will do and what their responsibilities are and what the housing authority's responsibilities are as they partner going forward to provide resident services.
Okay.
Ms. Dyer particularly looked at the way the money between the housing authority and the resident council would pass.
All right, we'll talk about that more, because I want to make sure about their budget. And we're not, also, we can increase it if we feel they need
Yeah.
some additional.
Right. And this MOU doesn't actually have a funding request. It just sets out how that'll happen going forward. But it doesn't include the budget itself. And HUD has some guidelines that Ms. Hayes is very aware of, of how those funds can be used, those resident participation funds. And then I think we talked about in our last meeting, there could be other funds for other types of activities as well.
Yeah, I don't want them to be limited by the basics. Yeah, whatever the vision is, we have to discuss it with HUD and get their permission for something that's outside of the normal stuff. Yeah, so need a motion to approve this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I move that we approve the memorandum of understanding with the Brooklyn Homes Housing Authority Residents Council as presented. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same. That motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Next up is Jensen Williams on the NAPA program update.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm excited to end this report. I'm sorry that I missed the other appointments that I was told I had, but at any rate, when I first got here, one of the assignments that I was given was to work with the NACA program and see if we could get them to come to the Brunswick area. And after phone calls and some other deliberations, we finally made that happen. The first meeting that we did was done in the month of February. Actually, the 10th, 12th through the 16th is when it was. 104 that have actively started their process and going through everything they need to go through in order to.
How many was it?
There was 262.
Were they residents?
No, not all residents. This was open to the general public. So we had about 80 something people from Housing Authority and our Section 8. I think it was 82, 83 people. So about 30 something percent of the people that came were from public housing and Section 8.
How many are you still working with?
We're working with 104 right now.
And that includes from the AMPS and the Section 8?
Yes.
So
That's
they
total. That's total from the general public, our housing authority, and the Section 8.
Aren't you going to separate the general public since you do work for housing?
Yes, these numbers that I'm giving you right now actually came from NACA. They sent me this report. And so what we try to do is we separate our folks. I have a running record right now. I have about 25 actual that are in housing and another 10 or 15 that's in Section 8.
I don't, let me see. So
Good.
what, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I interrupted your report. Go ahead. I'll just
Go ahead.
So of those numbers right now, 64 of those are with counselors that have counselors that are counseling them, preparing them for their home ownership.
Where's the counselors coming from?
They're from NACA. They're most of them are in Jacksonville, Florida. The guy that I work with closely, his name is Dwayne Jordan. He's the regional director for Tampa and Jacksonville. So he works all that territory and Brunswick. They were trying to open an office in Savannah. Actually, they had a building in Savannah, and when the pandemic happened, they pulled back and didn't do it. So that's something that they're talking about. They're still working on. Matter of fact, on Monday, I got a call that they're trying to do a new partnership where they are going to partner with different cities and organizations to acquire land, which NACA will actually build the houses for the individuals who qualify. So that's another program that they're trying to get off the ground.
to development.
Yes. Yeah, they're getting into development. So they want to make Brunswick one of their model cities. I told them I'll do everything I can to work with the city, county, whoever, to see if we can't make that happen here in our area. So that's something that we'll be working on as we go forward. Of those total numbers that I just gave you, the 64, 28 of them are what we call active, have received action plans, and
You said that how many are public housing in Section 8?
we have about 25 to 30 people, I would say total between public housing and the Section 8.
So the people in public housing, once they pass the workshop, first tell us about NACA. What is the purpose of NACA?
NACA is a home ownership buyer program. NACA came about right after predatory lending started. And what they did is they went in and had all of these companies, all these banks that pledged money to them because of the fact that they were doing the predatory lending, and that was a part of the settlement. So they used those funds to do mortgages for low to moderate income people. That's what NACA does. The first thing I say and I say this to all of our residents, and I say to anyone, I said, NACA is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of information, a lot of paperwork that goes into it, because they're giving you $150,000, $200,000 house. They need to know something about you, because there's no credit checks, there's no closing costs, and there's just a lot of little nuances that are in there that you don't have to go through with a regular lender if you go to your bank. Just to let
So
you know.
they pay closing costs and down payments and help people in
Yes.
foreclosures.
Yeah, I brought this program to former Commissioner Chairperson Kitts. I found out about it from a person who's retired here from Chicago. She worked with the NeighborWorks home ownership program. NeighborWorks is the largest nonprofit organization that's working on housing, other economic development stuff. They get funding directly from Congress.
So,
But NACA, and then we had NACA come to the Land Bank Authority meeting, and they have $15 million to lend. But there's a process, as Commissioner Williams is saying, that folk have to go through, and so you need to still hold their hand through the process.
my question is this, the people that are in public housing, are they going through FSS? Because our basis is to get them self-sufficient. And if we throw them out there and get a home ownership, and they're not prepared, and they don't have those self-sufficient skills, then
That's what the counseling is for.
Right.
But
Yes, FSS is not for public housing, that's for Section
he said public housing people were in the program.
Yeah.
I understand
Yeah,
that.
not FSS. That's totally for Section
yeah, it's
But you
public-
got Ross coming here
8. Yeah,
too.
that will be
So-
for public housing.
Right.
Right,
And this
so,
will kind of coincide with that.
right,
Mhm.
so I'm saying the same people that's in the Ross should come, the people that go to Ross should come out of there.
Yes.
It should be a program step.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
You know?
It works together,
Yeah.
Madam Chair. It won't interfere. Actually, it's the enhancement of that.
Right.
Because when they come out of those programs, they still have to go to a
Right.
mortgage person to get a
Yes,
mortgage.
it's a 4 to 6 week training, and it's a month-term. Did you get your training? Did you get certified through NACA?
Not yet. That's one of the things they've been asking me to do. They invited me to come down to one of their trainings, and we just haven't had an opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I was, again, I've been trying to work with houses that do this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things too that I've spoken with former Chairman Kitts about was the approval of the Section 8 to be allowed to be used for mortgages. So I think the council did approve that some time
Yes.
ago. So there are a number of programs because of that that will feed into that, not just with the NACA program, but also USDA. And Federal Home Loan Bank has other programs. The local banks don't use it a lot because they can make a lot of money just on the island.
Tradition.
Right.
And it's a little bit more paperwork. So the loan officers don't spend as much time on that. And that one also has a down payment up to $10,000. They used to have it anyway. And the state has a program. So there's a number of
The city has
programs.
a program for down payment.
But to your concerns, Madam Chair, about them being prepared, you're right, going through those programs that housing has feeds into that. But this program, because I was working on this lady who's retired here to do a homeownership center through my nonprofit. And that was what our partnership was supposed to be. And yeah, it's a great idea to be certified with NACA. I'm certainly still looking at that because there are other people outside of this, because nobody's working with the ones who are in the community at large.
Right. They have
While
community
Commissioner-
workshops.
While
Right.
Commissioner Williams is working with the ones with the AMPS and the Section 8.
Mhm.
And it would be great to work together. There's another way to do this if you do use the self-help model and have them come in as groups of 4 or 5, if you can't, because you're gonna be able to, you have to compete with other contractors, even if you have the money,
Right.
the contractors are so backed up. I'm telling you, it's a tremendous amount of building going on here. And it's hard to get even a handyman to do anything. So I think Mr. Williams can answer that.
Yeah.
So we've got to use some other means, and I'll certainly be happy to work with you, Commissioner Williams, on that. But yeah, go ahead.
Let me go back to where I was. As I said, there are 28 of those that have received action plans who are doing the things they need to do to get qualified to actually purchase a home. We have 5 people who are qualified. We have one individual who actually purchased, has already closed. They just happen to be in Darien, Georgia.
So that's in the community.
Yeah, Mr. James and Sherry and Craig is their name. I've got 2 people who are on Section 8. It's, I know her name. Harriet Williams. I can't remember her last name. Can't get her last name because of my last name. But this Harriet Williams is matter of fact, we're getting her letter that we're going to be sending to NACA to make sure that she has everything she needs from us, and she'll be in the process of looking for a home to purchase. So that's exciting.
Excuse me. That's what we were talking about, the voucher for,
Right.
she's one of them. So all they need from us, let them know that she's a voucher holder.
Right.
And how many bedrooms, get something from us, and that's what the process is.
That's big.
They
You said it was 2.
and the other young lady, I don't have her name,
Okay.
but
Both of them are in Section 8.
both of them in Section 8.
Anybody else in the 5, the other 3 in the Amps? Anybody in the
Matter of fact, I was waiting on that. That was a question that I asked him. He told me he would definitely let me know what address. He said they are in Brunswick.
So let them know the issues that we're running into.
Okay, definitely. I have a waiting list now of about 12 people that are actually in public housing going to do our workshops. We try to mention that, talk to our residents about it, and I said to them, like I said to you all, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I said now. There was one case that Dwayne told me about. He said he was on a flight and he was sitting next to this lady. She said, I just got turned down for a house. He said, what do you need? And she was telling him about the bank that she was doing. She was trying to get a house. He said, well, where are you flying to? And she told him, he said, well, we're doing an event this weekend at this particular place. And if you come by, we'll take a look at it. Well, she came by, guess what happened? She got qualified that same day because she had all the paperwork that was necessary because she already went through the traditional route. So she had everything she needed. She got approved that same day. 2 weeks later, she closed on the same house that she wanted in St. Augustine, Florida. I was like, wow.
Just keep us on an update of how many is going through and how many got awarded homes and how many's on the wait list.
So what I'm asking NACA to do for me, if anyone in this area or this region actually purchases, to let us know, talk with those individuals, let them know that we want to do photo ops, we want to give an opportunity for them to come even to the board and say, look, I'm a testimony of what this program has done.
Right, someone that just went
Right.
through your program, sure, that's on Section 8, yeah,
So we definitely want to do that.
yeah, there's no problem.
All right?
All right,
But I'll get with you.
Okay.
I
Definitely.
think we need to be seen in leading this fight around housing self-sufficiency. We need to be the premier agency.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, next up is the approval of the minutes. Do we want to do these collectively or one at a time?
Can we do them all at one time?
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Entertain a motion. Have y'all looked at the minutes? Okay.
Move to approve the minutes from the special call meeting held on May 17th, special call meeting held on May 18th, regular meeting held on May 22nd, the executive session meeting held on May 22nd. Second.
All in favor say aye. Opposed have the same. That motion carries. All right, next is the discussion of the approval of the write-offs from April 30th. Does anybody have that write-off from April 30th that needed the correction? Well, not a correction, but an answer to that $50, $20 late fee.
I don't have it from Sharon.
I motion that we defer this until.
I mean, I'm looking at the report, but we need somebody to get it.
Yes, Ms. Dahlia is not here.
Okay.
So I motion that we defer this.
Let somebody else check. Motion. Make a
Yeah.
motion. No, I'm saying let one of us make a motion. to
I
defer.
motion. Entertain the motion.
I move that we defer the write-off until the next meeting, which could be to our board meeting, put it on the agenda for
6:20.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Opposers have the same. That motion carries. Next is residential services. Mr. Reggie Jackson.
Okay, over the past month, we were soliciting proposals for residential services for childcare.
Just one second. This Chef or Ms. Jones, did y'all get a copy of the packet? Okay. Somebody give me a copy of the packet.
Yeah, already. I got it.
All right, I'm sorry.
We solicited residential services for childcare, youth and education development, and family development. And the reason why we did was to find out who was out there to partner with us as we provide self-sufficient services for families, to gain employment, to obtain workshops and things that we have to lead into a life of self-sustainability. Childcare is one of the key ones because it is one of the limitations of them not working. We have some families staying in their units because they can't afford childcare. I had a couple of people to call me outside of the two that submitted, but they didn't turn in. I don't know why. That's something that I never want to ask you all to give me permission to continue the RFP for that as we continue
For childcare.
for childcare.
Where's the stats to the people who we have these RFPs for that you're showing us on these listings? Where are their stats?
It was submitted through email. We said get information.
Right.
Yeah,
but you-
the RFP, all RFPs were submitted.
I know, but when we have meetings, we get them in paper form because everybody doesn't read on the internet. So the stats is who's working, who are the people on these boards, what do they want, and what's the I-9?
That's what you see before you. I didn't put who was on the board, but what we brought to you all was, if they filled out their, RFP in its entirety, if there's any duplication, we talked about that, and, if there are any conflicts, we talked about that.
Thank you.
So going forward, before they present to us, I need to see the stats. But I'll wait and go home. You said it's on NI emails. The people, the stats mean the people who's on the board, who's running the organization, and what they're going to do, and what their organization consists of.
It's in order. And what we did here, what you see before you,
It's just a listing of the people.
list on the people, how much they're requesting, if they're a current partner or not, if there's any questions that we had that they have to come before you all. We also recommended that they come to you all so you can ask some additional questions. There's some questions that we had we couldn't answer through the RFPs.
But some of these people, I wouldn't. So what are we supposed to do today?
Decide on who you want to see.
I would like to say, first, Mr. Reggie, I would like if you would fix my name on this report. It's actually K-A-M-A-U.
Oh, okay.
So we can have proper name. I sat on this board and I believe I was asked to sit on the board because I deal with the resident council and work with resident services, and we read, in fact,
And your background is in child care.
yeah, definitely. For this area, anyway.
Right.
I read this was the actual. This is what you will actually get when you get in the paper form. So I read everything. The whole committee went through everything and read it, and I ensured that as a board member that everyone did everything properly. And these are. Can I finish?
Mhm.
And all of these are just recommendations on what the board may consider is not etched in stone, but I made sure that everything was done right, even to the point of there's 2 organizations that's asking for funding, and I'm on both of the boards. I recused myself, which Mr. Reggie didn't know. I recused myself, so everything was done properly and done right. So these are just considerations and recommendations that we was given, that the whole committee decided to give. I just wanted to make that point myself.
Right. The point I want to make is, I think it's a conflict of interest because what they're doing is day-to-day business, and for you to be on that side of the fence and you're on the board of commissioners, I don't think you should play a role in both of those things.
But you're going to run into that, Madam Chair, and he did it properly. Let's Ben think he didn't do it properly by recusing himself.
But no one says that he didn't do it right, but I'm just saying that he has 2 people in his department. He has Vincent Williams and he has Linda Rutledge.
But they're the ones made the decision about it. He didn't make a decision about those folks. That's what he's saying.
Right, but why is he on the board when he's on service on this board?
This is review committee.
Right.
And I understand that.
It's just like I'm on the financial committee and the resident. I'm on the resident council.
But you on the finance committee for this board. That's the housing, the staff, everyday business. I think it's a conflict.
Can
He
you
may not think
clear
so.
it up, Jim? Ben? I mean, I don't have to be on it. I just was
Yeah,
asked. I don't have to be
so
on
it
it.
seemed like 2 separate questions. One, the conflict of interest, and I think that conflict of interest policy that all you sign when you come on the board says that if there's a because there will be conflicts of interest, is that you identify them and you say, I have a conflict of interest because in this scenario it would be I'm on the board of this nonprofit, and let folks know that that conflict exists, and then you abstain from discussions and votes about that matter. So if that's what was done, I don't think that's in keeping with the conflict of interest. The violation would be if you didn't disclose, if you didn't tell the board or the committee that there was a conflict, and then you voted on it. So that's typically how conflict of interest resolution is handled. And then I think There are committees that the authority has had that have included members of the authority and staff to work together on different issues historically. But that's up to you all as the authority how to have committees that don't take staff and authority members to be on committees together.
Yeah, this happens all the time. The county runs into it, and in a major way, multi-million-dollar projects that the county commissioners, and they just recuse themselves and move on. To me, who better than Commissioner Dickerson to be a part of this? He's been on here for a while now. It's not been long, but it's longer than I know myself and Cullen. I'm not speaking for Cullen, but and he works with the tenants. I mean, he's been appointed to that. I mean, I believe by you.
Yes.
So,
resident services.
right. So that was a natural for Mr. Jackson to ask him, and so I don't see that as a conflict. I thought it was, and he certainly was upfront about it.
I think the question Chair Davis is saying is that I'm involved in the day-to-day operations, which I would say respectfully, that would be a consideration of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Because many times there has been times when you have gotten involved in the day-to-day operations. I'm not trying to get involved in the day-to-day operations. I just was asked to be here, so I came to represent us and to do things right. That's all I was here for. So let's answer the question. Am I, by me being on this committee, am I involved myself in day-to-day operations?
Well, so I think the staff set up the committee, and so I don't think it's inappropriate for the board to be involved. And this committee's not making determinations, it's just making recommendations. I think all the committee did was filter through the big stack to try and get the board something based on their recommendation. Just like Mr. Williams does when he receives lawn care or roof repairs, he goes through the big stack and then brings you staff recommendations.
We don't have time.
And I think in the RFP that you all had before they were published, didn't it say that they were going to be reviewed by a committee and suggestions made? So I think Mr. Jackson was just keeping true to the RFP that was published that said these were going to be reviewed by a committee and brought to.
And I like to say, by the way, I spent 4 to 5 hours of my own time here to ensure that we did things right.
No one's saying
that's
you
what
didn't
you
do it.
said.
I didn't say
You said
Commissioner
you said I'm
Dickinson.
dealing with
I didn't
day-to-day
say you
operations.
did it wrong. I didn't say that your review was wrong. I just said by you being, I didn't say all of this before. You're on the finance committee, so you know what's in the budget, and you know we don't know who you know coming into these programs, and you're on that board. So that's where I see is a conflict of interest. I don't like to be in the day-to-day business. I find myself not trying to be in there, but sometimes I need to know the procedures of the day-to-day business that you made reference to. So anyway, that's just my opinion. If y'all fine with it, that's okay with me.
Yeah, I guess to get through this part of it, Mr. Jackson, on the child care. So we only have one approved recommendation that you all are looking at that met all the criteria, right?
Yeah.
And so, but you want to also keep the RFP open because we need a lot of daycare.
And it helps if we can spread out throughout the city, or county, because these parents may have jobs out in that area, and that may entice them even more to try to get employment.
Gotcha.
It's going to be in a position.
All right.
And also, too, how it works, we have a voucher program that pays $75, and the residents will have to pay the remainder. But in order to get the voucher, you either have to have a job or in school. And if you have a job you have for 2 years, it stops. But as long as you're in school, trying to better yourself, we'll continue. And it's constantly follow-ups and verification when names are sent on a weekly basis.
Doesn't Peach Care help with that, go along with those vouchers too? Because
No, Peach Care is
pays.
different. They work that out with the daycare.
Okay.
That's different. This is something that we fund. And then Job Plus will have a component that they will pay for some. If someone's coming through Job Plus, and their requirements for them to maintain payment for their services. So
So they can get Peach Care and use y'all's voucher,
it
and if you're
depends.
in Job.
It depends. It just
Can they
depends.
use them all?
If the service provider allows it.
Okay,
All right.
so we only vote on today who we want to see. So tell us about Agape Performance Arts. That's
Agape was new, in being that he was on it, gave us a little background. They originally, when I talked with them, the representative, not the representative that sent the RFP. And this was back in March, February, when everyone wanted to come up here. So they called, the guy called and he asked me, told me that they have the old Roxy building.
yeah. You talking about Sherry Leggett?
No,
Sherry, so
this is
Miss Leggett.
Yoshi Thomas. For the young man, yes, they don't have that. They had it, and I noticed right before the closing of the RFPs, I see a lease inside of it. So that was part of the discussions that we had. Because they were saying that they were gonna use that facility for a performing arts program. So when I got the proposal, it stated that they want to use our facility. Yeah. Yeah. So and then they want $413,000.
I mean, what are they going to, I know it says performing arts, but what are they going to provide? How long? Like I said.
Let me clear up the part of being on the board. Her name is Yoshi Jones.
Yoshi Jones.
She's over House of Hope. I'm on the House of Hope board, and this is a whole nother program that she wanted to birth out. That's why I recused myself from it. I don't know too much about that program other than I know more about House of Hope than I do that program because I'm on the board for House of Hope.
So they were asking for us to provide them facilities and funding for them to provide after school and summer after school services and a summer theater camp. And they were targeting the McIntyre Court facility.
That's a lot of money. That's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
money.
you would have to renovate it. So anyway, go ahead with that.
So yes, if you all want to see him and talk more about it, if it's plausible that you may want to give them the money, yes, it depends on what you all want to do.
I don't want to see them. That's a lot of money, and
If you're asking, do we want to hear more from them? Not at this time.
That's a consensus. All right. The next one is Bible Way International. Bible Way International came to my desk back in April. They were funded last year for my research, but they were notified late, so they didn't get started using our funds. But they had funding because they were voted to have funds. They had funds to start the current summer program. So I talked with the young lady and she gave me the information. We provided her with the MOU that you all seen and signed, and she's operating on our new MOU structure. I have visited twice. She's doing everything we asked. She's submitting requirements for payment on a weekly basis. She's meeting those deadlines. The verification process is going through. We found some discrepancy on one. We found a person wasn't a resident, so it wasn't on the lease. So that was the first week. This week, she has a 30-day verified. And she's working as according to the MOU instruction.
do y'all do background checks on the employees of these
No,
organizations?
that's their That's their.
Yeah, I asked that,
She said she did, yeah.
that she does, and that she has a 1 to 10 ratio.
Mhm.
I
One,
think.
two, ratio.
Staff to student ratio. So, and
So-
I'm assuming, Mr. Jackson has verified that.
The one thing I point
So
out.
she's already approved for now, right?
Yeah, well, she needs to be approved to continue funding, starting July 1. She won't be able to finish her program without no funding.
So how much is she asking for? Do you have that? I don't see that by her name.
It was 45,000. I'm sorry. 45,000. The same amount she was approved for. Do you all want to see her?
I would like to see.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Communities and schools, that is operation that when I first got here, they had no MOU, but they were a part of a 3-year budget. This year was the conclusion of their last year, the 3rd year. They submitted an RFP. I did go by and see their operation when school was in. They didn't have a staff, a site coordinator there, and she talked about it in her proposal that she didn't have one. Some other information that I asked her to produce, she could not produce it in its entirety because it had some legal parameters of it, because it had student names, and she didn't get permission from the parents to submit those, to give those names out. She didn't have the names. So, looking at what she's asking for, $142,000 for a site coordinator in Goodyear and a site coordinator at Burroughs Gillette. And we looked at the budget. The budget had some miscellaneous money of $13,700 for miscellaneous for each category, for each school. And then the budget breakdown, how they're going to use that money. The ED was going to get paid a certain amount, the program manager was going to get paid, the administrative assistant was going to get paid, everybody's getting paid. The site coordinator, full salary from us, plus some other operational line items. So the review committee felt that, being that they didn't have a person in for over a month or so, that to award $100,000, that's $50,000 for each school, and to lay out in the MOU that if the position is unfulfilled, the one that we're paying 100% for, to cease until it's filled, and also to provide consent forms for the parents that participate in the program, so they will be able to submit the information to be verified for our residents, either Section 8 or public housing. That was the recommendation. Do you want to see?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the task force that created the communities in the schools some time ago. And so, but I didn't realize they did elementary school students.
Yes, they just started it about 3 years ago, and they wanted to go into the most needed schools, and that's when I guess they went to Angela and provided that 3-year budget. And if it wasn't for us, we wouldn't have a person in that school.
Well, how long have they been in there?
3 years.
Okay, but those are the two of the worst performing schools.
No, it was not, I won't say worst performing schools, but the needed schools that suffered with some of the.
No, I'm saying that.
Oh,
From information I had.
okay, yeah.
And so I need to see how they're gonna help them improve. And I don't know what a site coordinator does to help improve that.
Right.
You know, and if they haven't had one, but we've been paying them, then we didn't get what we paid for.
Right.
So I would really be interested to see what their plan is.
And I hope as a board that we note how much money we paid them for over 3 years now.
And how much,
Without
how much
having-
was that?
Without having a proper MOU and all these things that we are talking about we need to do moving forward.
Yeah, how-
During that administration.
Yeah, how, do you know about?
When you talking about this time three?
Oh.
But that's a lot of
Oh,
money.
$400,000.
And everybody, and the staff, it was times that they didn't even have the staff that we was paying for.
And those schools, been poorly, the numbers have, been poor for some time, so.
Mr. Booker, I'd
So-
like, excuse me, Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I know I've received multiple calls from communities and school staff previously. They also pay for hotel motel for displaced children. So I know that's a good part of it.
Yeah, that's the whole organization.
The communities in school, and they also help when, they help one individual pay back money that they owe to Russell Housing. So
That's on there.
Oh, it's a great program, it's just that we was paying for services
that
that
you weren't getting.
that we wasn't getting.
So they come before the board every January or February. They have for the last 2 years. And I know during the pandemic, they came and said that they gave out laptops during the pandemic, make sure, and food, make sure the kids were safe and all right. So they should come back next year. But the question is, that's why I asked for data.
I don't know
Because
if
we need
that's
a,
what
we
the-
need a line item of what their job is going to be specifically, like he said, if they're gonna be a coordinator. Because we're not paying them money to put somebody displaced in a hotel if they didn't tell us that.
No,
part of the
that's
thing.
not part of the budget.
Yeah.
They have an overall.
But I need
But just for good year.
I need a line item
Yeah,
on
and
these
that's,
things of what they, we asked this before, a line item of what they want these funds for and what they're gonna do with it.
And I just, it's in the MOU.
And
Yeah. And I just broke
But
it
we
down.
don't have
It
the
was-
MOU.
It was emailed to you. 'cause it was so-
Yeah, when we look
Yeah.
back, so yeah.
This
Yeah.
this is the package.
That's fine, that's
So of the $72,000, we pay for full salary for the site coordinator.
Mhm,
The executive director gets paid a certain amount.
mhm.
The program man, everybody, it tells you what they're gonna do with $72.
We want, right, but we wanna see that again. Like I said, I know you put it out on email, but we get paper.
No, I don't want all that paper. You like paper.
Yeah.
I don't.
But it,
I
but
don't.
I don't, is that
I'll go
everybody?
back and look at the email, Mr.
Is that
Jackson, but.
one-
Yeah, it's everybody, but then some of them only email that information too.
Yeah,
They
yeah, I
have
don't think
this too.
each person would be that in depth. It's just certain things. But they'll say that when they come before us.
Yeah, I'll look at that, but they need to, you need to let them know, we need to know what we got, cause it's for over $400,000.
And see, and what,
And like you
If they
said,
can't justify that, then they can withdraw.
and like you said, if they don't have the coordinator, we're not paying that funds if they don't have that. So is most of this money going to administration or is it going to operations and?
both. That's $72,000 for good year. It tells you everybody who's getting paid off that $72,000. And the full salary of the site coordinator, we pay that full $43,000. We pay that full site coordinator salary.
Mhm.
And we pay parts of the executive director, parts of the program director, parts of the administrative assistant. It breaks it down.
So what about supplies?
And supplies,
things?
yes, supplies.
So
And
that's
then
what
it had
I
a
see.
$13,700 miscellaneous.
Mhm.
Well,
So-
I mean, they work in the school system.
Yeah.
Supplies are not, so, I mean, the school system should provide that, but my concern is these kids being able to improve academically. I wanna know how they're doing that. And them just kind of there talking to their parents or something.
Yeah.
I mean, or even providing them food. There are other agencies that do that.
Yeah.
I just want to know what the person, a site coordinator, is actually doing to help improve the academic levels for these children.
Yeah.
So what's the stats when they started to where they
Yeah.
ended
So
up
they
at the
will-
end of the school
They,
year?
they will have to give you that, and what we're requesting with that MOU, giving, the parents consent, giving them consent to give us the kids that we're providing And we
The
can.
number of kids,
provide us-
right. I mean,
number
they
of
could,
kids
but
and
they
what-
could,
and
but
what
they
they're
could provide the
doing.
numbers and.
They just provide
right.
the numbers, but not the names.
No, we don't need the names.
No,
I
we,
just,
and where they live.
yeah, I just
They
want,
get
Well,
verified.
if we approve them,
Mhm.
then we will need the names, but right now, they should be able to provide the numbers so we can evaluate
Yeah,
it.
they
But-
have that, they should be.
yeah, like,
But they also need to provide, like Madam Chair said, if they improved in their academics, did they do a pre-test and a post-test, or what are they doing with them? And evidently, since Goodyear's principal has been removed, and I know that Millette is not that far ahead. My grandchildren go to Millette. So I really want to know, I mean, I know the program works. One of the first programs that my son actually finished in, but I didn't know they were doing elementary school because it's a different dynamics. You really need to work with the family more. But the school system have parent resource officers. So it's like a duplication of services.
right, we pay a lot of money into education for these students academically and summer programs, after school programs. I wanna see stats and numbers, cause we're just paying to just babysit them, feed them, and then send them back home. We got how many programs to do that? So we need to know, like, what are the children improving academically? I wanna see their stats numbers.
That should be milestones probably.
They should have that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm more concerned, moving forward on our residents, what we're paying for and how well they are doing.
That's on.
Yeah,
We
no,
don't-
they have an overall thing.
I understand that, but we already know we only working about residents in housing
'Cause right
and
now-
Section 8.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right now they can't give me the names, they can't, all of the names. They
So,
can't
so,
provide.
so going forward, when we do these programs, it is essential that we do stats, numbers of how long they've been in business, how many people graduated out, or how many people are being positively affected. If that's not happening, then we're not spending all this money. We're not trying to spend a lot of money anyway. We spend too much money anyway. We need to cut back. But that's what I'm looking for. Because
Well, not so much about that. We need to spend what we need to spend to help our families.
right.
My thing is making sure that we get what we pay for, that something that's gonna benefit the families. And pretty, like, as I say, pretty familiar with this program. But didn't know they were doing the elementary school. So,
Because my thing is, I want to know how they come about with the amount of money that they're asking for these programs. Because this is the first time, as long as I've been on the board, that they're coming into the hundreds of thousands. Like this one got 413,000. So somebody
now,
thinks
this program has been funded before.
right, but
Yeah.
but people think that we have money to give out to these programs and organizations and come in here. You know, I don't want nobody coming in here trying to hustle us or anything like that, trying to get money. But
What-
anyway, I just want to see the improvements and going forward. Yeah, okay. The other one, are we finished with communities and schools?
Southeast Boys and Girls Club, of course, they are not in our facility. They say they are not,
Right.
in the future, that they are not planning to be in our facilities. You know, until it's brought up to date.
Did they fill out, do they still want to partner with us?
Yeah, but they still want to
They
partner.
filled out an RFP?
Yeah, they
Okay.
did RFP, he has $400,000.
And he can come before us too.
Yeah, $400,000. They've been a partner with us for 35 years. The review committee asked, the address the board asked them why the $300,000 increase, but we were paying them $123.
We were paying them 123,
Yes,
and I know they were getting like
They're saying 300,000 per year.
no, they were saying $400,000.
Per year, is what they're asking.
And
Versus 123,000 that they were paying.
And they were getting like 67 a quarter.
they're doing
we've been paying them. We haven't called
But they've been serving.
We've been paying them.
He's been providing.
And this is based on the 123.
Yes. He's been providing us with the information that was requested along with the roster of our kids.
Did they say why they had such a huge, what is that? 300?
That's what
300% increase.
We couldn't ask that question, but they're not here. So this is something we wanted them to. We were recommend that they come before the board to address that $300,000 increase. The review committee also stated that if you are approved the partnership, then the best thing would be, the recommendation would be to issue scholarships for 100 from the housing residents, to include 20 scholarships for the early literacy, 30 for Glen Middle Club, 50 for the Girls Middle Club. And the scholarship, and that number, just for after school, is going to be less than 100.
Yeah. Well, let's for now. Let's just wait on them to come and talk to us.
We have the Youth Enrichment Learning Center. That's Dr. Brown. She's currently serving 30 of our kids, and she's submitting requests, and we're verifying our resumes. Her proposal for this year, she gave for 30, amount for 30 children, amount for 50, and amount for 75 for summer and after school tutoring.
And we were already paying them, right?
Yes, it was
So,
part.
I need to see their stats also from last year of paying them to see how they improved. They were doing an after school and summer program.
They did after school, then last year, and summer, I think you all approved for them for a trip, for a summer academic trip. It wasn't for the program, for a trip, a couple of field trips, academic field trips. It wasn't a summer program.
Yeah, I agree with so the committee is suggesting
If you all, like what you said.
we'd like to hear from them, and you all's recommendation was 30 children, and we need to know how they measure the impact.
I see all that will be structured under the MOU. Everybody have a different tweak to the MOU.
Does the MOU show everybody on the board?
I mean, I don't know if we need to know. I don't need to know if you all have verified it's a legitimate organization, and they've been operating, especially we've been working with them, that I'm not going to go on the board and evaluate everybody on all these organizations.
I don't want to evaluate them. I just want to know who's on the board, because there's certain people that I know that was on this board that, so that's why I want to know, because I want to know who we're paying this money to in this community.
But for me, I hear what you're saying, Madam Chair. But
We all have different approaches.
my concern is if the organization is legitimate, is legal, and what is our partnership agreement? What are they planning to do for our residents? And then to evaluate, are they doing that? And we're going to provide funding for that, but that's what we need to be clear about. Because if you start getting into, because people in the community, there's tons of people. I mean, I've been around doing this for 40 years. And so I know quite a few people on a lot of these boards. Doesn't mean I will have all of them on my board. But my concern is about the organization, because they may be doing a great work with this particular organization. I'm not even concerned about that. I'm concerned about is the organization performing, and it's going to perform for our residents. But when we start getting into that, we'll never finish the meeting.
Not
we'll never have a MOU with you. 'Cause
Not-
I'm telling you.
Not necessarily, I don't wanna interview the board, but like I
I'm not-
said,
no, I'm not
there's certain people on boards that have nefarious ideas and intentions, and I'm not trying to pay them money for them to come and say they doing something with our children, our organization.
Well, Madam Chair, I'm telling you, you will not be able to sleep at night if you're gonna start worrying about folks' intentions on the board, on somebody else's board.
But on somebody else's board.
But that's what you just said.
If they're partnering with housing, right, and something comes up and we partner with them, I don't want to be in the middle of that scandal. That's all I'm saying. And so, like you said, you've been around and you know certain people.
And
this, that, and the other
things are gonna happen.
We
Yeah.
asked-
They have
So we're gonna, yeah.
In our RFP, we asked, what you gonna do with our money in the budget line? And that's what they said. And they tell you, everybody's getting paid.
Because in the past, we had a board member that was on the youth of Richmond. And you can't be on this board of commissioner and be on another board that's asking for funding.
Yes, you can.
No, you
You
can't.
just said, all you have to do is
They don't have to disclose it. That's in our procedures.
Yeah, and you can't vote on that.
You can't vote.
And that's my point. The county commissioners do it all the time, but they don't do it on a regular basis. But it comes up because we're not a huge county. We're not the smallest county. You know, we're a small community. And so, I mean, I sat right by a commissioner that we approved almost $9 million directly for his company. So this kind of stuff is going to happen. You just have to disclose it. And when people don't disclose it, then that's when it's an issue. But I'm not worried about if, because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to know probably 2 of the people on these nonprofit boards, especially now since I've been a commissioner. And I run into people, they are members of the chamber, members of other organizations. I sit on Coastal Community Action Board. So, but I'm not gonna worry about that part. We wanna stick to what we're looking for our families. And I think that's where Mr. Jackson is leading us and the staff. So, but I certainly would like to hear from them, and look at, and consider their,
They did submit some stats in there.
Okay.
The next is Coastal Outreach Soccer. Coach Outreach Soccer is currently partnering with us. They've been in our communities, introducing soccer to our residents. We looked at their proposal. They're asking for $1,400 per child. It also goes into the point where different age groups are eligible for travel soccer. And we just had a question, what's the difference? We're paying $1,400. We're paying $1,400 for our children. What are they getting? They're getting going through the academic programs and able to participate in travel soccer. If so, why do we have to pay the same amount for those who are not going through the travel soccer? In his monies that he's requesting, he's asking us to pay for all of those things. So just want to hear from him the difference of what he can actually do for our residents.
Okay.
Again, I'm familiar with this program as well. They do outstanding work academically and exposing the kids to actually a lot of STEM work. I also was a part of helping advising. They have a relationship with the UGA Marine Extension Service. They have a program called Young Professionals, where they meet with the boys and girls on alternate Wednesdays to teach them about career fields around marine biology, those things. They take them on trips, but they're exposed to actual careers through this, we call it YoPro, but it's Young Professionals. And that's worked out well. I think it's in the second year, going on the third year.
I went to their luncheon they had, and they just hired a guy that worked for out of Detroit for a car dealership. I think it's General Motors or Ford, and he's working with Sean now, helping how to make the little parts, the things that they made.
Robotics.
Yeah, the robot. So yeah, he can come. He can come in.
I love this program too, and I connected to combat against the pipeline in prison. I call it the Cradle to Graduation program. That's what I call it. It's an excellent program.
You just want me to ask this question to see what our money can actually use before our children. Safe Harbor, Street Beat, Jeff Clark, he requesting $50,000 to pay for 70% of the time for the foster youth initial case manager for intervention, prevention, housing, mental and mental health counseling, and life skills and job coaching for high-risk youth. Those who don't know, Jeff Clark is our communities or areas homeless guru for youth and adults. We have, doing a little research, Jane, you look more familiar with this. The foster youth initiative, that is, they call it the FYI. That is something that the BFACS and Housing Authority, they have an MOU together.
Yeah, we normally, when there is a youth that's aging out of foster care or facility like Safe Harbor, DPACS normally reaches out to us through Davis, our admissions counselor, and gets us the information saying, hey, here's a heads up, we have this individual, sometimes it's a couple at a time, and then we fill out an actual form, send that to HUD and get approval for those additional vouchers. So they don't go on the traditional waiting list. There is a completely separate process. Once they give us the approval for that, then we can go ahead and get these individuals housed, whether it's a housing program or in public housing. And there's a time frame on that, but the good thing is, once that time frame expires, then they can go ahead and get put on a traditional voucher without having to go back through the process again. So we normally request those vouchers when the need comes to us that it's approaching.
So the advisory recommendation committee has asked that they come before you all to talk about the initiative and how the $50,000, what we get $50,000 as additional services that need to be. He'll be able to articulate that at the board meeting.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm very familiar with this program. Been working with Jeff Clark for years. He is the head of the homeless coalition.
Said he had a work emergency and he'd be back.
All right. Actually, the city and the county has put together a homeless summit meeting. We had a big meeting at Black Island. And so everybody has been working on this issue. We all know there were issues with the well and other things, ongoing issues that Jeff has really been the tip of the spear to solve these issues. We as an agency should be the tip of the spear around homelessness as well. And so, I certainly support this, look forward to having them come. But I think, we may need to see if there is some additional services that we can provide, they can provide, that we can fund because of all the issues that are going on around gangs and things here now. Because it's more than just, when you talk about healthy counseling services, we need to really intensify with our young people. We should have quite a few young adults in housing. Staff, please correct me if I'm
We
wrong.
do.
So I would like to see if we can get with them to intensify the counseling services. And Jeff and his staff, they deal with crisis situations. You know, you got these young people that just, you know, encountered the deputy. That could have just blown up way beyond that. Innocent people could have gotten killed. So whatever we need to invest to reduce that, we need to look at.
Two things I want to say on that. Yes, we do need to be at the top of apex when it comes down to homeless. We need to put some skin in the game. We haven't, I can't say, I don't know if you all can say what we're doing to help prevent this issue or help solve this issue. This is will be our gateway. Yes. As far as what are we doing for homeless? So we definitely need to get in that business, because the city just put their money where their mouth was, and they wanted $215,000 to Coast Action to help out with the homeless. That was a big gesture. I don't think a lot of people understand. So the city can now stand on what they're doing for the homeless. Community Action can now stand on what they're doing for the homeless. We're still out there, and we need to be at
And
the
Hurricane's a
table.
huge push right now for homelessness. So I've got 5 webinars set up, and it's outputs working hand in hand, and there's a lot of NOFAs out there right now for
And Jeff is in tune with the state to the point that they call him when there's money available. So we can leverage our dollars more by working closer with him, his organization. And he's also moving us toward a homeless authority modeled after what they're doing in Savannah. The lady that runs it, he invited down, and also there's another pot of money on the DCA called Congregate Housing too, that is funding available. So as we move forward and look forward to Ms. Jones and Ms. Sheffield coming on, and they're working with the staff to us being creative about this. Because we do have some assets and we have a great need. We need to deploy those to deal with this issue. So.
All right.
Westward, Georgia, she tried to apply last year, but not applied. She met with Angela.
Ms. Polite.
Yeah, Ms. Polite. She met with Angela Strickland, our former executive director, but it never got past her. And she was also part of that entourage that came at that meeting. Madam Chair told everyone to come in and ask for money, answer to the RFP that would be out, and she did that. What she's providing is tutorial services for 72 Brooklyn Housing Authority at-risk elementary students, residents.
I believe that when she came the first time and presented before us when the other former ED was here, she was going to do an after-school program with children. So now I see she changed it to at-risk.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know what's the difference.
Yeah, and because that's what we felt
At risk.
doing that.
I mean,
No, I'm just saying, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but
she changed from after school, giving them academics, after school tutorial, help them with their homework, and she just changed her whole thing to 72 at-risk elementary school residents. If we had, how should I say this? If we had, I don't know, a number or a list of at-risk children, how she gonna find them where she's in the school system?
Currently, she works at Virgil as a paraprofessional, and what she described in her proposal that she and some other people in the school, they have this push out, push in concept where they go to different after school programs and provide tutorial assistance to elementary kids, mainly from Burroughs and Red.
So if she's at Rose Millette, community and schools are saying they do the same thing, behavior.
Well, community school is just during school.
But-
That's a during school thing. That's not an after school or a summer. That's a during school.
Okay.
Yeah. But
But
she's
she
in the
doesn't say whether it's after school, summertime, or whatever. She just say to provide.
It's after school.
Okay, it doesn't say that. Okay,
Yeah.
but anyway,
We felt that it was, a duplication of the youth.
yeah, we already have enough.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and if they're in housing, I guess based on certain definitions, they would be considered at risk. If they're in the housing, that means they're low income, and there are other factors impacting their lives. I don't like to use the word at risk. All of our kids are at risk for a lot of different things.
Right.
If they live on Sea Island or they
They're at
live over
risk.
here, right?
Or she could have meant the same thought as, when I seen that risk, I was thinking about the alternative school we used to have. But, those type of children. So she would only be able to define what she means at risk.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need
No.
to look at that program. But there's a program that Coastal is doing, and I know Coastal didn't submit a RFP, but it was presented by someone from Brunswick, Mr.
The
Jackson.
reading program.
Yeah.
I mean, ask Teresa about that, because that was.
We're partnering with Bruce Moody's.
Yeah.
Program. Right.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah, this is a Sylvan Learning Center, and franchise, somebody who has one that's doing quite well in the DC area. Bruce Moody he's a retired lieutenant colonel, and actually a friend of mine. But the system that they use is the results are outstanding. He see it every day with it. Folk in his franchise, because he lives in a high-end area, and folk who have these kids, wealthy kids who are their ACT scores are low, SAT, they can bring them way up, or they just fail in school. They move from F's to A's and B's. The system works. Teachers like it because it produces a lesson plan. They don't have to do a lesson plan, and they just kind of teach that and work with the kids, and it's a small group. It's a lot of one-on-one.
Okay.
And Coastal has gotten a grant from the United Way of Atlanta to do 2 cohorts of this, and they have some good things. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, that's the program.
Okay.
In family development, we have, in the concept behind family development is to provide services for the adults, the parents, to empower them to do certain things, to get involved with community outreach, to get involved with community leadership, to be self-disciplined, to learn different disciplines, to get employed, to just be encouraged in their current situation. And anything any partner that we request have that same sentiment for the residents that we do. So that was the purpose of the family development. So we have Stella Dior Enterprises, the PACE program. She wanted to provide up to 18 residential women and girls with individualized support and services to help build and empower and encourage independent living skills to include personal care, money management, safety, personal development, entrepreneurship, and advocacy. She was a former partner with us. She was, we paid her, well, she's requesting $35,000.
In that program, but she's asking for 50,000 in another one. But I don't know about you all, but I don't want to see this one we didn't approve her the first time, the way she came on. And this is similar to what we're gonna do in Ross and FSS. So I don't think that we need this program. And plus, anyway, it should be a time frame from when she was here last time to now.
Yeah, I guess I was gonna ask, how's this different from the Ross and FSS stuff? And,
This person, is providing the actual services. She is, what we're doing with the Ross, we're collecting services providers and provide them with those services and following up with their case management. She actually works, and I seen her, when I first got here, she was already in action, and I came and watched some of her sessions with the women that she has encouraged, and some of them have become employed, some started their own businesses, some became more active with what we're trying to do as a whole for the community. She has a background that allows her to reach certain people that won't normally come to a setting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with
Yeah.
Ms. Dior, and I just, my concern is, and I think she has been effective in certain circles, and I agree, she probably could reach some folk by using her testimony of her life. But I just want to make sure with the Job Plus and the other programs we have that we're not duplicating, or if she can make sure that it's a separate piece that she's doing. I know what she's doing, but I wanted, in comparisons to what we already offer, and that is under this HUD requirements, the kind of programming with the FSS and these other things.
And we already discussed, you and me, about some other things with Ms. Dior. And so since the RFP was online, she filled it out, but we're not going to let her present again.
No, I would like to hear what she has to say.
Well, she has, I'll tell you later, but we're not going to let her present again for her associations.
No, I would like to hear, we would vote on it.
Well, he said that we were going to sit here and see if we were going to see them or not. So each of us have our choice of whether we wanted to see them or not.
I would like for her to present as well. I would like for her to come and present.
Yeah, it's not saying she's gonna be approved, but I would like to, I mean, I know what she's
And
capable of.
my consideration was because of the results of what Mr. Jackson just said about the residents that were successful and are moving forward in life, and I think that's what's important. That's what we have to always consider.
She does not have the stats. And I seen her program with her graduation. There was a mix-up of numbers of how many graduated. It was said to be 4 that we funded, or 9 or whatever, but I seen it and I followed it. And so, background issues, that's why I don't want to present. But if y'all want her to present, that's fine.
And as far as Jobs Plus, we'll be working with individuals who strictly become employed or go to secondary education. This will work with the women on an individual basis.
And-
They get to that.
And with resident services and Job Plus and FSS and Ross, we ought to have people in those programs that are doing financial literacy, self-esteem. That's what all of that is. And this is going to be a duplicate of this. And if y'all know her, like you said you do, Mr. Dickinson and Mr. Commissioner Bookerson, Commissioner Dickinson, like I said before, she has many different organizations moving around in a circle. which one's gonna catch, which one's not gonna catch.
But
And
that-
we had issues with our former executive director with her. And so we said we were not gonna have any connections with our former ED and anybody that presented.
Well,
He
that,
hired her.
well, first of all, I never said that.
He
And
wasn't the
two,
former ED.
you said, we said that we're not gonna have any connections with our former ED.
Right.
I assume you meant this council. I never said that. And the deal is that it's not even about that. It's about what's best for the families.
It is about that in
And,
this particular situation.
And all of her, again, I'm not so much concerned about all these other things she involved in. That's not really my business. My business, while I'm serving on this council, is how can she best help our families? And in this case, she may bring some value and be able to reach certain people that other programming can't. I don't know that. I want to hear more from her. I know what I've seen. I know what I've heard from other folk that have been involved with the programs. But I want to hear from her before I just dismiss it.
I had stayed corrected during the review committee meeting because I thought she came, first presented to former ED Baker, but I had
No,
corrected her.
she came before Strickland and we didn't approve her. And then she didn't come before us with Baker.
Upon the information, it wasn't that she wasn't, we did allow the process to go through. Angela Strickland did not move forward with her.
No, we didn't approve her, Commissioner Dickinson. No, we did not.
I'll show you,
No, we
the
didn't.
documentation, we approved for it to go through,
No, we
but
didn't.
Angela never reached back out to her. Angela never reached out back to her.
That's, we can easily find that out.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
true.
from my research,
Yeah,
that
find
was
that
the
out.
point, and then when Baker came on, it was a RFP that she responded to.
Yeah.
She answered to it.
But she didn't come back before the board. She went to HUD. Baker asked HUD, somebody from
I don't know about
HUD
that.
to
I
put
just
her
know,
on.
when I first got on
I'm
the
telling
board.
you, I'm talking now, please excuse me, but he went to somebody in HUD, and that person in HUD told Mr. Baker that she had to present before the board. She never came back forward before. When she did come back before the board, it was in January, and she was hired in October of the previous year.
She had a MOU that was signed, and it didn't have the end date on it, and that caused her to do automatic termination because it was so ambiguous because it didn't have an end date.
Upon the information, when I first came on the board, back in November of, this is 23, then 21, when I first came on the board, I believe it was November or December, the meeting I was in, she did a presentation, and we all agreed that her presentation was good, and that Angela was supposed to get back to her. Angela never got back to her. So then, now, I guess, it came back before Baker, and then he moved forward with it. That's what I know happened. So I don't know about Baker, about that relationship, but I do know that she was on, I remember it vividly, she was in it right before us, because it was not, it wasn't I'm talking now.
I didn't say anything, Commissioner Dickinson, and change the
So,
tone of
for
voice.
the
please.
information, I'm talking, that's what happened. So that's what, that was the information that I get. Because I remember when now if I wasn't here, I wouldn't have been able to speak on that fact. But I remember when she presented it. And we told her, in fact, we instructed Angela to get back with her. And she never did. So that's what I said.
Well, that should be easy enough to verify. So that,
Yeah.
and that we'll have that. Ms. Johnson, you put that on one of your tasks. Give it a staff from.
All right.
But go ahead. We do want to hear from her.
UGA Extension, they don't exchange money with us. They provide the services. They submitted one anyway. And currently we're on their third session of the nutrition program we had in this room on Tuesdays. Genesis
Genesis,
No, I'm back on yours. I'm still on UGA.
Okay.
You all
Point of order, point of order.
Yeah.
As a commission, I'm asking you, Mr. Vice Chair, and this board, moving forward, I need all of us to have respect for one another. Now, when she said she was speaking, I got quiet. As I'm talking, she began to start talking.
I made a
We
noise.
have to.
I made a sound.
We have to respect, everybody on this board has the same authority. We have to respect one another. So I just want to, moving forward, that need to be expressed, and I'm putting it out now. Moving forward, and when we speaking, we're not to be interrupted. Period. That's point of order.
Professional courtesy is
Yes.
due to everyone.
Yes.
I agree, Commissioner Lawrence.
Do you all want to hear from the extension, UGA extension?
I'm in support, again, I work closely with them, with these other programs, environmental issues. And this is the other part where they were teaching the residents about cooking and nutritional cooking and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't need to hear, listen, the rest of the commission, if you all want to hear the program that they do. I'm clear on that. Yeah, and they're not asking for any money.
But I like to know what they do. I don't know what they do.
Yeah, you can ask them.
But I'm glad that they don't want it on.
But you can ask them to come and present. That would be helpful. Because we can also talk to them about the, and this is something we may, well, I think we should provide funding for is community gardens. I know LaShonda, she's one of the officers.
President, LaShonda Huff. I don't think she's on the board.
But she's on the residence council. And I've been working with her with the Grizzly raised beds to get some training in. I've had her meet with the UGA Extension Service Master Gardeners Program to kind of use Grizzly's site as a training ground before they came back to us for funding at the AMS. So, but anyway, so yeah, ask them to come and talk with us, and
I'll mention that here.
and ask them to bring the person over the community, the Masters Gardeners Program.
Yeah. Genesis came before us before. And the reason why we didn't approve them is because WorkSource pays residents to take up phlebotomy. And when she first came before us, she was only given 2 weeks of phlebotomy training, and she wanted $100 for supplies, and she wanted $750 for the certificate. I don't think we need to have an organization that we're going to pay them to do this when we have work, and WorkSource is not on this listing, where WorkSource will pay a resident. They will pay them a stipend for daycare and a stipend for transportation with anything they have. But we don't even, and we have to find out what residents want phlebotomy. But we're not going to pay, I would say I'm not going to pay anybody if we can get an organization to pay residents for the same thing we're paying somebody to train them to do.
Yeah, I don't think this is because if Job Plus is going to be helping facilitate that, then they'll hook them with the WorkSource.
WorkSource with Sharice Lee.
Yeah.
And she renewed her RFP, but it's not on here. It's on there.
Existing MOU.
Yeah, and did
It expires 27. We had the discussion.
You know about WorkSource?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Sharissa.
Okay.
Yeah, I told you I know most people. But work with her, she's a great person. And so, and if Honey's gonna be working with her, I'm pretty sure that she'll connect with her organization. There's also another couple other contractors that have clinics, they have training for this as well. So.
Alright, that's a no.
Right.
Alright,
Yeah.
Safe Harbor, preservation program. They currently, they're doing this program, and they asked us to be a referral, to refer residents to them. They're asking for us now to provide $75,000 to help pay for a council program.
Pay them, say that again?
They want us to pay for personnel for the things program, to continue this program.
So what,
At Safe Harbor or in
Safe
Mill?
Harbor.
At Safe Harbor?
I like to hear what this program is about. Again, I'm familiar with Safe Harbor. I actually worked there some years ago. But this is, I like to hear more about this.
Doesn't Safe Harbor itself give them these nurturing parenting programs? Don't some of these things they ask this for us, don't they do that already
Yeah, that's
in
what I said,
there?
they do it.
Yeah, so why should
I don't
we
know
pay
if this
them?
is for an expansion, they should be able to talk about
Yeah,
it. We asked,
let's see
we
what that-
recommend that they come before the board.
Yeah, it says it has duplicate functions as Job Plus and Voice Grant. Yeah, so, yeah.
So they may want to talk through you with some of the other folks that run these programs and make sure they come into us with a targeted request.
Okay.
They should be able to- Okay, Love Smart, that's Miss
Valerie Goodman.
She wants to provide sessions in the cohorts format to provide them with awareness of domestic dating and violence. She wants to also educate them and recognize the signs of abuse and to seek help.
Why is there a negative in front of that 5,800?
That's not a negative, it's a dash.
Oh, okay.
Dash.
Okay.
She's currently asking for $58,000, but it's $5,800 per session. And it's a 4-week session, the cohorts of 10 people, up to 10 people. Her budget has it broke down to $75 per person per visit for the 4-week session. They had some questions with her budget because the math wasn't right. She asked for the persons to participate, she asked for $3,000. So we would think $3,000 to pay for the instructor fees, rental fees if she needs to, and supply. And she had another line item, $2,000 for the facilitator. She had another line item for books and supplies for $500. And she had a $300 rental line item budget if she had to rent. And that's what $5,800 comes from.
Where does she have it at? Because I know at one point she was looking to do it somewhere and she was told there wasn't no space. Where does she do her sessions at?
Because the last time she was going to do a session, it was at Risley.
Rise Risley?
Still calling it Risley. The other Risley. The new Risley. Where she
The
works.
annex. The annex.
Okay.
Yeah, the annex.
Okay.
Yeah, they have the alternative school.
Yeah, rats. So, we recommend she come with
Yeah, I'd like to see this.
to explain the budget. This is the budget thing.
And this may go, if this is one of the programs I think to deal with, one of the first things we talked about was that with the KPAC officer, domestic issues that we have in the AMPS that I think that she can help with. Being very familiar with Valerie and her program, and especially with the young people. Again, that goes back to issues around games. That folk are looking for a family to get involved in these games.
And the relationship they have, these young men living with them illegally, that are supposed to be in there, and they bring violence to the whole community. Being able to see those signs.
So yes,
21st Planning Commission.
Yeah, I have to excuse myself. I'm on the board.
He too, himself.
Yeah.
And where Kay, she, Harris, it's not Harris anymore.
Patrice.
Talking about Larisha Harris.
Okay,
You talking about Commissioner Harris?
Daughter.
It's
Okay.
Larisha Harris.
Larissa, okay.
Larisha.
She sent a proposal. And the proposal just pretty much talks about developing 20 businesses and getting 10 innovative ideas, product services or nonprofit around the climate solution and quality.
Does she have an so she's going to develop 20 businesses? I mean,
It didn't tell us that she was going to work with our residents. It didn't specify she was going to work with.
Can I make comments?
So,
You can make comments.
Yeah. This project is because around environmental green businesses, there are a number of our tenants that already have side hustles. But they're not legitimate because they don't want to lose their housing if they're making money.
right.
This is an effort to help them feel comfortable about being legitimate and also helping them towards self-sufficiency. And they have never been asked to help solve the issue around climate change. We all are impacted by that, but they just don't, organizations, agencies don't, they don't talk to low-income working families about this issue. They usually talk to academics. We are working with some of them, but that's what this is about, and it is targeting specifically the residents in our neighborhoods. That's my comment.
I just need to see what she wants to offer. That's all.
Because Jobs Plus will pay for somebody if they wanted to start their own business, but it's not huge climate change.
Yeah, this provides the whole back office, helping them to do a business plan, and talking to them in a real way, because a lot of times when folks jump out there, they have a few dollars, they have a great idea, but a few dollars. Then they don't understand about marketing, they don't understand about accounting, they don't understand about even setting up a website properly. And this does all of that. And it's long term. You all get the whole, if you look at the email, it's a whole training process. It's I think it's like a year program.
It's already doing.
Charlene Tompkins is the point person on this, and she's the one that's driving this. Larisha is really our PR person who just restructured.
Okay.
Hope that ain't too much.
She just want to see what she got to offer.
Yeah. I think you all would like it. It's unique, it's creative, and it's where everybody's going. Even when we start looking at doing maintenance on our buildings, weatherization and those kind of things, reducing our carbon footprint. It could be an idea of just doing a bike run, something simple. And we're in a tourist area that could work. But how do you set that up? And it takes them through that whole process and helps provide funding for them as well. So I think Mr. Jackson will like working with this.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
thank you.
Great job, Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Williams.
Glad.
almost out of here. Maybe. I don't think I'm gonna be that long this morning.
Okay.
Okay. If everyone remembers from the last regular board meeting, I said we talked about the landscape contract. The solicitation for that had just ended at the last meeting. I said I would give a recommendation to the board for that contract, and this morning I provided everybody with my formal recommendation for that. I think it should be, you see this right at the top, should be formal recommendation on landscape contract. And it discussed everything that we talked about last time about not entering into a contract at that time, being out of contract time frame with our current landscape contractor, and what we could do going forward, and I addressed the administration on that contract as well. So if you want me to read the recommendation, I'll 100% read the entire thing.
I think you can summarize it, but what do you need from us? Because I think you.
This one I seek an approval to go ahead and enter into that contract, so I can go ahead and draw the contract in with Mr. Jarrell.
So you said previously that you had many conversations with his work around housing. Have you had one recently since you couldn't find someone else and brought him up to date?
100% have, as recently as last week when I got with him about last week, because we had a question come up from the resident council about when their scheduled time was to be in certain areas so that they can get their vehicles moved and everything like that. So I reached out to Mr. Jarrell to provide me with that schedule, which we already had. And this time of year, well, he and I both know this time of year it's kind of hard to keep that schedule consistently because of the way it rains. And if you get a day that rains, you end up thrown off and you have to have catch-up days later on in the week. So even if we provided him that schedule, you may have your car moved one day and it's not the day that you cut. But still, that he provided that to me. I had him come and have his guys come and pick up a couple of piles of debris that they had left around here and there. I will have another conversation with him this week because we have that group that's supposed to come and help out with cleaning the fence line around here. We'll have a conversation with him about that. Once we get that fence line cleaned, it's gonna be an understanding between me and him that we ain't gonna have that.
And he understands that we can terminate this contract if he
knows. When my first meeting with Mr. Jarrell over a year ago, when Mr. Baker first came in, and Mr. Baker wanted to terminate his contract. My first meeting with Jarrell, he explained in that meeting that you could terminate. He was the one that told him the terms of the contract. You can terminate that contract right then and there without cause. Most of them have a 30-day clause in it, but his does not. His did not.
Okay.
Yeah, his was terminated effectively. Immediately.
Okay.
All right. So you just need us to approve this under the terms that you have laid out.
Yes, sir.
I move, Madam Chair, that we approve to allow Mr. Williams to move forward with the contract as presented for lawn maintenance.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next would be the update on vacancy painting and cleaning bids. And the second part of that packet, I think yours is stapled, mine is not, mine is the original. And it shows a vacancy cleaning contractor recommendation. That first, you're gonna look at the first one. Right there. That's my formal recommendation. And it explains what happened during that solicitation. My review committee was myself, my work order clerk also reviewed bids, and Ms. Curry reviewed our bid package.
So it's
Well, that's
cleaning,
listed.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir, this is for vacancy cleaning.
You, Ms. Curry, and who?
Ms. Pierce. I didn't give y'all those evaluation cards. I have them and they will be in the contract file. If anybody ever want to see a contract file, just come to me and I'll have it over there. I can provide it to you, but it's pretty big.
Who is Ms. Pierce? Okay.
Ms. Pierce is the maintenance work order clerk. She works
She used to
in
work
she
up
works in
front
the
in
department.
admin. She used to work up front in admin.
All right.
So,
So after, well, I'm gonna read this because this one's rather short. Okay. After evaluating solicited bids for vacancy cleaning contractors, I have determined Mr. I.L. Fleming to be the lowest responsible bidder. Mr. Fleming's price came in pretty close to my independent cost estimate for this project. And certainly it's gonna be well under what the Highland Authority has in the budget for this type of service. It will be, and I'm just giving you, that's not in here, but I'm giving you a little background on this. In the end, the price for doing this next fiscal year, because that's when most of the payments will come out, it will be more, it will look like more than the agency has ever spent in a year's time frame to do this type of work. But it's gonna look like that because we did not spend any money on doing it last year.
okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, not really.
on this second page right here, where these contractors are at, is that the price that they wanted to clean
Yes, ma'am.
each
So
bedroom?
at the top of what everybody who gave a successful bid in the time frame, this is the bid tabulation for that second page, is the bid tab for that. And that is the price that they bid. Now, two of the contractors had essentially the same price. If you told them up, they had the exact same price. But, well, once I finish reading this, it will explain to you what happened with those two contractors.
Okay,
So Mr. Fleming bid a price that was close to my independent cost estimate. And in my understanding, my belief that he can deliver the product in a desirable and acceptable fashion for the agency. Mr. Fleming, I don't know if he still does, used to have an office on Fort Stewart. All he does is government work. That's all he does. So, and he does the turnovers for the base there as well.
okay.
There was a second low responsive bidder for the most part. He responded, but not really responsive. Once you looked at the score sheets, at the bid score sheets, it just wasn't. Which was our previous contractor, the contractor who held the contract to do this previously. But in his packet, once I got into the packet and started reviewing it, he did not provide a lot of the information that was required. The biggest things is he put in there that he did not participate in e-verification, which you can't do. You have to do that. Because that's essentially saying that you are eligible to work in the United States.
Right.
It's a homeland security thing.
Right,
So he didn't have that in there. So
okay.
I'm looking at his old procurement file to see if that was in there and see if maybe it was just a mistake, something he didn't understand or something like that. But
So-
I don't think so.
So really, he didn't really respond
No response.
properly.
Yeah, no
Um,
response.
So is he still gonna work at Fort Stewart?
Who?
Mr. Fleming?
I don't know. Can't tell him not to.
Yeah.
No, I know that. I'm just wanna know if he's gonna commute back and forth.
No,
No. He owns a company there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The company group
Yeah.
handled this.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, his company is
Yeah,
there.
we're not hiring him as an employee.
Okay,
The question, the other people who were interested, these were the only three that.
Turn in bids.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. Only quick one, we sat right over there and opened them. I don't know if y'all see in action, I got it recorded when I opened it. So these are the only ones these are all the people that I solicited directly to, people that have contacted me in the past, or even came here looking for work while I was sitting in that seat over there. I took all of their names down when they came in. I said, hey, whenever I get a solicitation, I'll be sure to forward it to you. And that's what I told everybody. And when I did.
Because we have so much, we're so far behind. Has he kind of, well, you may not have talked to him since he wanted it, because you were waiting on us to approve it, right? I guess, and I know, I don't know, if like you told us last time, we had about 80 units, and then we're getting units all the time.
Yeah, we got 9 yesterday. We probably had 90, probably 97, 99.
So
I got 3 of them this week.
So if you asked us to keep this open in order to catch up, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
So my hope was that.
So this sounds good.
This is what I hope would happen from that solicitation. I was hoping to get just like a lot of responses and be able to get 2 that would essentially within 10% price, 10% each other. If I get 2, 10% each other, then it's reasonable to select 2 contracts.
You got 2 that were almost the same, but one responsive. Yeah.
Right.
I got it.
So like I can't.
So based on that, I mean, I certainly would entertain that. I think you made a great choice. Sounds like it has experience and everything. But to give you the tools you need to meet the demand, then if you want us to allow you to keep it open, that's right. Even if it's a backup contract, or however you want to put it.
Okay.
If we're able to do that in the process, then because we need to get these units ready.
Yeah, and if it's the commission's will that I open the solicitation, yeah, well, I don't have a problem.
Well, I guess we need to approve this one.
Yeah, my recommendation for this I can't open this one again. This one's closed.
Right.
My recommendation for this one is to go with Mr. Fleming for vacancy cleaning services.
And in order to at least have the original 2 that you were thinking, then you would open up another solicitation as a backup contract.
So you said he has a business, right? Mr. Fleming. How many employees does he have that's going to help him out?
Right now he has 2 listed, and he also in his Section 3 documents, because that's going to fall right into it. He has that he will have, I want to say his, I'm trying to do this from memory, pack it over there. I want to say his says that he will need 5 additional employees for this.
Okay.
So then we could work with them. Can you recommend some tenants need work, or how
We could, but what we need is that list of tenants who interested in this type of thing.
Right.
And then here's another thing. We need to update our Section 3 policy.
what section?
The agency has a Section 3 policy. It was adopted by the board in 2010. But since then, regulations around it has changed. I was looking at it, and I can't just change it. I can't just throw a policy out there. It has to be board approved. So
I'm saying what exactly? I don't know what it is.
okay, the Section 3 policy is and it's required by her that the housing authority has one. It's pretty much the plan for how the authority will include low and median income people in housing and in the communities. How we would channel federal dollars to those class groups, to those groups. Can't even get it out today. How we channel the money there. We have a plan. It's just outdated.
So we need to update that.
Definitely needs to be updated. I realized that and I was reading over it because, well, you'll find out when I go through this paper. Find out why I was looking at it.
Mr. Fleming said he needed 5 more additional people.
Don't quote me.
Right.
It is over there though.
Right. Can't we, I was asking him about Job Corps. Where are we with Job Corps? Don't they have a painting, class over there?
I don't know if they
They used to. I don't know if they still do.
They do. And for this, they don't have it anymore.
Oh, I don't know if they have a painting class or anything like that, but
that was something.
I don't think you can force him to have a job. I don't think.
No, not forced, no.
Oh, no. I think-
WorkSource wanted to partner with us to pay Job Corps candidates to come and work and then pay them, but there was an issue about babysitting them versus the work.
Unless he has a class, well, that sounds.
That's
See,
good.
That teacher comes too.
Yeah,
But he doesn't have, yeah.
In the Section 3 plan, a part of it, to satisfy the requirements of Section 3, you also could volunteer to do training. You could, and that's a part of the Section 3 plan, not necessarily saying you have to. In order to fulfill the requirements of the Section 3 plan, all you essentially have to do per our policy is employ 33%, not even 33, it's 30% of low, extremely low income people. Same requirements for getting in the house. You have to employ people of that same class in your company at a rate of 30%, or they have to be a BHA resident, or they could be a BHA resident, 30% of your company.
and we can look at the ones who are not employed. You know,
Why
if they're
couldn't-
interested.
Why couldn't we, and I'm just throwing this out, I did a summer painting and repair program with young people. And for the JTPA program, that's what the workforce thing used to be called. And it worked out well. And we concentrated on the parks and stuff. And then my current nonprofit, we work with Mission Group, so we've done that. I'm partnered with the city to do that. Well, why couldn't we use former Commissioner Dobson as a point person to help, set up some kind of training piece to justify this and to help facilitate this. Just putting it out there.
To help facilitate what portion?
If you're saying that we needed to train to use the Job Corps folks, I'm not saying I have Mr. Fleming to hire who he wants. I'm just saying that especially since we have so many units to do, if we can bring in some other resources by using him to help facilitate the Job Corps students to meet that requirement. And that's certainly something I know personally he can do. He has a skill set.
So, I may have enough staff now to be able to put somebody with Job Corps students. I may. See, the problem comes along is because a housing authority representative always has to be present while on the property.
Right,
Just didn't have enough staff to do it.
right.
Didn't have enough staff to do it. We may have enough staff to do it now, but we don't necessarily have to provide training. What I was talking about with training is actually in our Section 3 policy, which goes to anybody who comes to the authority and receives a contract that pays federal dollars. You have the same as any other agency that receives federal dollars and expends those dollars. Those policies apply to all of them as well.
Right.
But I would definitely need to be out there. But the Job Corps thing, be 100% Sunday talk Ms. Suarez. But and as far as the list of residents and things of that nature, I think I've spoken to Mr. Jackson about it before. Our policy says that it was for resident services to coordinate and issue RFQs, so we can identify those people and businesses in the community. We don't have it, but when it's something that we like that craft development contract. When people come in and receive contracts like that, and there's
What kind of contract?
any kind of contract for, well, what they say, if it's a contract for services, labor involved,
Okay.
Section 3 automatically applies, especially if you are over the simplified acquisition threshold, $250,000. Then any contractor that comes in is forced to comply with your Section 3 policy. Voluntary up until that point, but you're forced to at that point.
When you say craft, they're the folks doing the Mercer.
Doing the Mercer.
Mercer.
So that, when he said craft, that's the builder.
Yes, sir, that's the Mercer Fire.
And so what are they required to do? So I'm clear.
They are required to follow our Section 3 plan, which essentially means that they either have to provide training or anybody, if they need to hire anyone while they are performing that in performance of that contract, after the date that that contract is signed, they have to hire anyone to the greatest extent feasible. They will employ
30%
Section 3
of the
residents.
low, extremely low. So can't we put a notice on the website or
They already have.
for residents to sign up? Okay.
Well, no. Well, this is what I'm going back to then. Because they are required to do that, well, a part of the plan says that we are supposed to provide them with a list, a target list of
Okay.
people, businesses in the community, and we don't have that for them.
So it's not just for people in housing, but it's for
It's the community, it's the
also.
community at large.
Right.
You consider a Section 3 resident if in the past 3 years you have made at or below low
Right.
to moderate income levels in that area in the past 3 years.
So we can solicit for people that live in housing and all outside too, but we can go first and see which ones, what residents is interested in this.
Well, I think the way to do it would be to issue a RFQ for anybody interested in that.
Mhm.
Which is my but the only problem I see with that is advertising for how are you going to reach it, because we talked about the newspaper. So people don't really have to do the news.
As far as residents, we got the newsletter, we got the website, and we have resident services.
I think you more liable to reach
And we
people
have,
through Facebook.
and we have the new
Yeah, I was just
page.
about to say, we don't have a Facebook page. We have a
More liable to
Facebook page.
reach people.
What about Twitter and
No,
Instagram?
yeah, social media is
Right.
I'm sorry, it's the way.
And then we have, Ms. Hayes,
And we're having a large event in July.
right, so we can solicit that one. We have,
Yeah, if we issue a RFQ, I'm certain we can generate some sort of list. But yeah, no, we are supposed to provide them with a list so that they, because if they start spending all of their time trying to do this on their own,
right.
you can end up with a
Right.
delay.
Yeah.
All right.
You end up with a big delay.
Right.
So we're supposed to provide a
Okay,
list.
so, okay, we gotta wait until,
Yeah,
Commissioner
to approve
Dickinson, you
this.
gonna buy- to approve
So
this.
the motion is to approve the
cleaning.
the recommendation for the vacancy cleaning contract, as well as to allow for solicit another RFP for the service. Who's taking minutes then?
Not me. It's getting recorded, but I think Ms. Curry will probably do it
You can have
So we have a motion, that's right. We have a motion to approve the staff recommendation on then continue the RFP for additional.
I make a motion to approve the staff's recommendation for vacancy cleaning contractor and to allow for the issuance of an additional RFP for the same service.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same. That motion carries.
We take an intermission. Madam Chair.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We'll take
This is
a
short.
5 minute.
You over there dancing?
I'll be back quickly.
Okay, all right.
Go there, tap dance.
Yeah. It's cold up in here.
Was that hot?
Yeah.
It's hot.
Was it fresh?
Yeah.
It tastes fresh. It
Oh,
tastes-
I must say. Just carry one.
Yes, you need it.
Can we get some more cream, please?
I don't,
There's no more?
we have quit buying it.
Let me see.
But we
I might-
normally do we normally have it for in here, but if we're all out, we'll make sure we have
Yeah, that was
just consistency.
some. Gotcha.
Look, I think I got something over there, but it's dairy based.
It's fine. I'm good.
Alright.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I made some coffee.
We only kept up to 25.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So we'll make that clear when she gets back. All right. So Ben, how we doing? Doing okay?
Doing okay? Doing okay.
Okay. I know we, I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I usually have to have cream. And, Jones phone.
That's the only thing they let you drink outside water before land. Black coffee,
Yeah.
no sugar.
I like to use the example of coffee. I wish we could do that, do it universal, where we could put sugar and cream all together and be unified as a people. You know, race, culture, no matter which race, culture, gender is, we can be unified.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
So
the
I
United States
always say coffee is always good integrated.
Somebody gonna have that phone.
That's what,
Texted you.
Okay,
So just make sure
We
you.
can turn the air down up a little bit
Oh, let me see.
now. I guess somebody said we were hot.
that was
No.
you.
That was
turned in.
When you first
You
got
got- you got-
see, you were walking.
Might have
You came out that sun and all
email on
that.
No, I'm
there too.
naturally
She,
hot. This
she
is
said she doesn't really get the emails after hours, so we didn't ever need her to text her.
Okay. That's understandable. It's good.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Oh, now Ben left him. Ben left the use of Burlington.
yeah. Yeah. Tastes all right, but
What's that, the coffee?
yeah.
He bringing almost army style. Almost army style.
I think Edward wanted to go get some cream. Mr. Williams.
Your godson still at Val's Estate?
Who?
Your godson.
No, he graduated last year, and he's at McNeese State.
Because he got another year. He got one more year, 2 more years.
He got one more year. This is so he just finished a year. So he's he has one more year.
What they got him playing?
He's still playing safety. So he hopefully should finish his masters.
What is he been using?
Lake Charles,
He
Louisiana.
only has almost a day.
Yeah,
Bad
Charles.
storm.
and I actually spent 2 weeks in Lake Charles when I was in college
Yeah.
trying to sell books during the summer.
Encyclopedia.
Well, it was Black History stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a Black History encyclopedia.
Yeah.
It was one of the books we saw. But I didn't stay but 2 weeks.
I think my mama still got a couple of them.
Mhm. Yeah, they pretty good.
Like, yeah, it was real big.
But we were homeless. Man, we got there, we had nowhere to stay, and just so happened the Reverend, still remember, Reverend King had an old, he was opening up a Christian bookstore. He let us sleep in the back, me and this other guy from Morehouse. I said, yeah.
They come this way, how close they come this way?
They didn't last year, but this year they play in Florida.
Oh, who is it?
And,
FAU? Who they playing?
up the gate.
Oh, they playing game? Okay. Well, then you make plans for that.
Yeah. We went to 3 of the games last year. It's a drive. It's like 12 hours, almost 12 hours.
I'm doing it in Baton Rouge. I don't know.
Yeah. So Vanessa bring her pillow. So
You do all the driving?
just about.
Well, then you bring back.
Psychologically, it just work better for you to leave 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So by the time the
So
sun
you
comes
bring
up,
back the quorum.
That's right.
I'm
Yeah,
almost halfway
but you
there.
younger than me. I can't do all that. I used to do that. When I was at Hampton, we would leave like that, just drive all the way. But you wasn't there but 9 hours.
So you break it up, you just get a room, and somebody fell over again.
No.
You just roughed it out, huh?
Yeah, I mean she might do a couple hours, 2.5 or so. But she looked at me strange when I'm. So.
Team is a beast.
You'll be young again.
All right, we back into the meeting. Now we're on to the painting contract. All right.
So the exact same as the clean, not the exact same, but same parameters as the cleaning contract. I provided you with bid tabs for the paint contract and my interested bidders. And my recommendation for paint contract read that after I solicited and evaluated the bid, I actually determined John K. Williams Realty Group to be the lowest bid on that contract. But Mr. Williams' bid price was well under the previous price that we paid for this service. And it bothered me a little bit that was that way. Because at some point the authority approved an increase for the previous contractors to go to that price because the cost of everything had gone up so high. So I took the prices that Mr. Williams gave and I subtracted materials from it, labor involved with doing the work, and accounted for the Davis at minimum the Davis-Bacon wage rate for this contract, which would be $16.20 an hour. Everybody who works under this contract on this contract would have to be paid at a minimum $16.20 per hour. And I did the math on it and I said, yeah, I don't think you're really gonna make no money doing that. So it gave me a bit of caution because I was afraid of going in the contract with him and down the road and him saying, hey, look, I can't do it for this. And then it lead me to 2 things. I had to come to the board for approval to get an increase for him, which I couldn't do because once you sign the contract for that price, it would be binding at that price. Or that he would just not do the work, just back out of the contract. No real ramifications for it because it's not bonded. It's not a contract that can be bonded. You really do.
When you say previous contract, are you talking about Christians?
Yes.
And I know just to kind of help shed some light on that, previously when Mr. John Gallagher was our facilities director, one of the issues we had with the painting obviously was that light switches, outlets, the floors, it was almost like they were just going with a sprayer and just spraying everything and nothing was getting taped off for that. So our guys were having to go back in after the fact and fix some other things. The justification behind that was as well, if I tape all this stuff off and I cover the floors and do all the prep work, which, you know, if you've ever had to paint your house, you understand how critical that is to the longevity of what you're doing, wasn't being done. to have this lower cost of doing these rooms, which just required our maintenance staff and then the repeat of services to come in down the road. So ideally, it being done correctly would have been more expensive if it was done that way from the beginning.
Right, I hear what you're saying, Ms. Howe, but I happen to know, this is the contract that I use with my nonprofit, and I've known his work for years.
And I do too.
John
And
Williams.
he's doing the tiny homes, so we can go and look at the work that he does.
Yeah.
Does he understand about the Davis-Bacon piece?
Here we go. So, in the bid package, you are asked to turn back in all the specifications. Everybody gets all of the information. In that packet was the Davis-Bacon wage rate determination. I have worked with Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams has had previous contracts with the authority. And, you know, we know about Davis-Bacon wage rate determinations. We know that it's eligible for this contract. I want to say the first line it's actually in the invitation to bid that this is a federally funded project, and Davis-Bacon wage rate will apply. He knows what it is, but still, I went on to explaining this, that when that started bothering me, I called Mr. Williams. And I said, Mr. Williams, I'm just confirming that the price that you gave, that what you bid, is correct, and that you'll be able to do this work. Just right there, I wrote it down there, that you'll be able to do it for that. And he told me, he said the price that we submitted for painting was actually supposed to be for cleaning. So we gave the wrong price. And I said, well, I understand that, but I told him, I said, I ran the numbers and it don't look like you're gonna be able to do it for this. He said, man, he said, my son dropped the ball. He said, this is what it is. I said, and I understand that. I said, I'm gonna have to disqualify the bid I'm gonna have to reject the bid for being irresponsible. He said, that's fine, man, not much that you can even do with that, but I can't allow him to come and resubmit a different bid.
Right.
Can't do that.
So,
But, we still need,
Can we do the same thing as we're doing with the cleaning?
yeah, but just let me go a little bit farther into this and then we'll get on that. Let me go a little bit farther into this.
okay.
So that was the second part of that. That's what happened with Mr. Williams. He was the low bidder, but his bid wasn't correct. He made a mistake in bid. So went to the second low bidder, which would have been Mr. Fleming. He can make money in there. There was a third bidder that was in the same area. In the same area. That bidder was a garage guard going in epoxy. One of the maintenance guys, used to work for another apartment complex and said they did the vacancy terms for them, and it was always good work. That guy tried to take a Section 3 business concern preference. So what happens when you have a Section 3 business concern preference? That bidder receives a percentage of reduction in their bid price based on the total payout of the contract, which in this one would have been hard to do. Would have been hard to do it on. I would have had to.
Explain that to me.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, so if you're a Section 3 business concern with preference and you make a bid on a federally funded project and you take a Section 3 business concern preference and you are deemed to be a Section 3 business with preference, when you bid,
You have to apply for that?
yes, you have to give out, well, what you're supposed to do, and the Section 3 plan actually outlines that, and that's why we give it to everybody. You are supposed to contact the person issuing the solicitation before you submit a bid and let them know that you are a Section 3 business concern. That way they can tell you, I need this, this, and this to verify that you are a Section 3 business concern with preference. And if you are deemed to be so, then we take your bid price and reduce the price that you bid by a percentage to make your price look more competitive towards anyone else's price.
But
Okay,
they still get paid.
You still get paid what you bid,
right,
but your bid price is reduced by a percentage so that you
can look competitive.
yes.
And everybody is not afforded, like you said, to have that section 3. And
You
you have
got-
to apply for it.
You gotta
prior
have all the documentation.
to-
There's a whole registry for it and everything.
Okay,
Yeah, I checked for this business on the registry and did not find it. But if you would have contacted me beforehand, say, hey, you need this, and this, and you might have had time to do it. But
okay.
yeah, boy, you had to read the Section 3 announcement to know it. But I provided everybody some big old book. It's like 45 pages.
So,
It's in the first part section. So what I said about that business was my formal recommendation for this. For one, I eliminated John Williams Realty Group because he could have never. So I rejected his for unresponsible. And then it's my formal recommendation that the agency enters into a contract with I.L. Fleming, which would have been our second low bidder, for vacancy painting services, and consider speaking with our HUD portfolio specialist regarding an alternate procurement method for garage guard should we be able to deem them as a Section 3 business assignment. And we just speak to our portfolio specialist about an alternate procurement method to contract with them, and that because I mean we have to meet Section 3 requirements as well. Even though they haven't.
So that will give us 2 for the painting.
And that would give us 2 for the paint. Yeah, that would give us 2 for the paint. If I can vet them as a Section 3 business concern and do alternate procurement for them, then yes, it would give us 2.
you talking about approving Fleming's and the garage?
No. His recommendation is we approve Fleming right now, but also he's gonna recommend that he speak with HUD to make the garage keep an alternate
Okay,
based on
okay.
our procurement methods.
And if I can vet garage guard as a Section 3 business concern, which means
But
that
they didn't provide that.
they didn't provide me with the documentation.
So does that mean we have to use them the criteria?
No, it means that you can't give them a preference. You have to take their bid as
Right,
it is.
right.
You have to take their bid as it is.
So if he doesn't get it, then this price here will remain the same. It won't be reduced.
That price won't change. That price
Right.
won't change ever.
Right.
Solicitation is closed. That price is what it is. I can't reduce it now.
Right.
But if he is deemed to be a Section 3 business concern, you can use alternate procurement methods outside of your normal practices to contract with
Right.
Section 3 businesses.
Is it a deadline when this bidder reduction approval coming?
No, because that would be separate from this solicitation. Anything that happens with garage guard after this would be separate from this solicitation. It would be
Okay.
something totally different. It wouldn't be this. I was just letting the authority know that we had one bidder and they was within range. Their number really doesn't even matter anymore. Just let them know they was in range and they claimed to be a Section 3 business concern with preference.
Yeah, I would be concerned.
If it's the authority's will that we do that.
I would like for us to check on it, but I like for this to give you the authority to rebid it also. Because to me, if they really are this, they may be new to it, and that's why they didn't submit it ahead of time.
Yeah.
But, so I don't want to leave them out, especially since that's part of our requirements. But since they didn't do it properly, it gives us a little bit more flexibility to keep it open. But they're not, are they local?
Yes, sir.
Let's see if they were submitted this time.
In our procurement process, do we get extra points for local business?
No, it's not. It's not in. Well, actually, these solicitations were issued as RFPs. So more so, price is the determining factor outside of technical requirements because it's just the way an IFP is set up. If I would do an RFP, then you would have been weighted heavily on technical requirements, and I could have given you a low invitation for bids. It's a sealed bid process. So you pretty much already know what the scope of your work is, what you want done, how it is to be completed. So all you asking for is the price. I'm doing everything that I've listed here. And whereas an RFP, you asking the person, how are you going to provide me this? What are you going to do for me? How are you going to provide it for me? As well as how much it's going to cost.
Well, I guess to help me with this motion, I move that we approve staff's recommendation for vacancy cleaning contractor as presented with the option to submit an additional RFP for additional services under the same requirements.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same. That motion carries. Mercer Burn Unit, how's it coming?
Okay. So I provided to the board Mr. Kent's field report, his last 2 field reports. And then pretty much summarized it because it was kind of short and sweet. All he really said was that demolition work was still going on over in Mercer, taking out the ceilings and the roof trusses and all the walls and everything. At this point, they have rebuilt the ceiling trusses. They have subroof on yet. And I rode by yesterday. I don't think there was subroof up there yet. And he had a few questions that came up surrounding proposed change orders. Oh yeah, and their cabinet contractor backed out. The cabinet contractor over there, essentially nullified their contract. They said they could not provide the cabinets that we wanted in that time frame or for that price, or for whatever price that they gave. So they terminated their contract.
How many units over there?
6.
Is this included in the vacancy?
No, sir. They are, the UTS status for those units are offline due to emergency. They are not included in the vacancy report, no, sir. But there's 6 units there.
So they can't do the cabinet, so we have to.
We don't have to.
No, we don't have to. The contractor is looking for a new subcontractor for cabinets. So
Okay.
there will be a new submittal for that once they find one.
What happened with the ones they had, why they couldn't? They didn't say.
Yeah, this right here said contractor explained the cabinet supplier backed out of their contractor noting they could not meet the specified cabinet hardware with their price. Thus the cabinet submittals would have to be resubmitted. And that's saying field report number 2 on the first page. And it's about the second sentence from the bottom.
Which I'm sure there was some discussion, and he decided not to.
It's like I can't do it.
Yeah, and he's saying that he's not taking his profits.
Right.
No, I'm not gonna throw my.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Right.
I'm not gonna lose.
Now he may end up having to if he can't find nobody else.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So, okay.
What else did I get?
Okay. And you said the change order.
The change orders I gave you, what I gave you were the 3.
Right.
There were 5 total. One had to do with, well, I actually broke it down. You know what, let me just do this. So I provided you 3 change orders from Mr. King.
Okay. These are, what are these?
That's it.
That's his field report. That's field report. This is everything that's going on
Look to your
over
right.
there.
Look to your right. No, the other side of your coffee cup. That right there. Where's the answers?
All I need is reading level.
All right,
And this isn't necessarily anything that a decision
okay.
really has. This is nothing that a decision has to be made on by the board as a whole. It's actually a decision for the contracting officer. This is just an update on what was going on over there, and I'll explain to you why we all sitting here.
Okay.
Why these changes we can
Okay.
There were two other changes that I eliminated, which one was to change the countertops from granite to quartz. It was gonna cost about another $10,000. But like I told Mr. Ken, I said, well, I mean, we showed you the quartz that went into the other unit, and I'm not opposed to granite. I am opposed to Formica,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because you're gonna burn it up. I'm not opposed to granite. But my biggest thing is, I don't have a sample.
Right.
So he brought me the samples. They're sitting over in my office. I have them now. So we're gonna end up not doing a change order for that. There's a suitable granite sample there that we can select and get the same effects for the same price and not change the contract price at all.
Didn't you say the granite though will stain if they put something hot on it? That's why you chose the quartz?
It was wine, red wine, but this one is dark. It's black.
Okay.
It's black, so now you don't have that problem.
Oh, okay. All right.
See the stains.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Wine tends to stain granite, especially the ones with low polish. The ones that have been high polish, you can
high
do a little bit with. They got low polish.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
good, stain bad.
Any red artificial flavor.
So I think I'm gonna eliminate that change though. We're not gonna end up with a change order behind it now. And I think that dark, man, I think it's called YouTube is the light. I have it over there. I'm gonna select one.
All right.
And the other change order that got eliminated. What it was, I have to look back in my email to remember what it was. But the ones that I brought to you to look at were, this first one was a change order to change the flooring throughout the unit to a hard plank tile. What is in the specifications, and I would like to see this change order. I have to look at just the Kent numbers and make sure it's a reasonable expense. I need to do the math on the square footage in those units and see if that were really that's what he's supposed to do. In his justification, but yeah, I probably should check behind it and make sure the numbers look right. Is to change it to a hard plank tile. Currently, what's in the specifications is LVT or LVP. It's a click lock type of tile. I'm not a fan of putting that in our units.
What's that?
There's a little
It's
Like
interlocking.
a puzzle,
It's a
and you
floating
need
floor.
the extra border around the perimeter, and you snap them in. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of doing that. And-
doing ceramic.
Yeah, that's what this change order is.
Yes.
I already spoke to everybody about it, but this is the formal part of it when he sent it to me. And there's the amount that it will cost us to do it in the 6 units, $21,907 to completely tile them.
A whole from the floor, bedroom, kitchen, and room and closet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So that would be the amount that the contract would be altered by to go with a ceramic tile throughout all 6 of those units. I
Okay.
want to say that's pretty close to what it cost to do this in office. Yeah, I think it was $20,000 to do the central office. You may be right. You may be right on it.
Okay.
His second, there's a second page on that. Second change order here is to replace the tile in the bathroom floors. So currently in the contract, it is spec to salvage the existing floor, acid wash and salvage the existing floor. So last meeting I told you that his first field report indicated that when they were removing the toilets, the surrounding tile was coming up with the toilets. So he was saying he was gonna have to replace the flooring in the bathroom, as well as when they took the tubs out, the footprint of the new tubs will not fit in the old location. You can't make it that tile that's gonna match up. It'll look weird. And once you get to doing these units and you got everything brand new, and then you walk to the bathroom, you still got the old tile on the floor. That's gonna be nice. So their proposed change order to replace the bathroom, the floor tile in the bathrooms in all 6 units. Their proposed change order price was $10,662. 6 bathroom floors. I think Mercy Elderly, you got about 275 square feet. Tile on all of those. I'm just saying that for myself. I'm gonna get later. So yeah, his proposed change order to go to ceramic plank tile as opposed to salvaging, acid washing and salvaging the existing floor, because that's what's in the specifications to do with the bathroom floors now. So acid wash it and salvage what is there. But they, once replacing those tubs and the floor tiles coming up, gonna make it where he can't match it back. We want to replace all that.
And the last
If it's decided that we want to replace all that.
Right, and the last one?
The last one I put it in there. They are proposing the price of $2,554 to change essentially the color selection of the tub surround tile. It was already going to be replaced, and I look back through specifications and tell Mr. Ken, I said, well, it looked like the specifications called for a 12 by 24 tile already in those bathrooms. What we were asking for was a 12 by 24 tile, the same size tile. Only thing that changed was the color variation. So I don't think the contract should have been altered that much. And he said originally Brunswick Floors, which is providing the time for that, told him that the contract pretty much wouldn't alter at all. I said, yeah, no, it's the same size tile. It should be about the same price. But he said apparently for that tile there was a little bit of change. So we don't have to enter into a contract, into a change order with that one. I don't think we entered into a change order with that one because I told them provide me with samples of your specified tile and let me see them, and I'm certain I can make a selection when they have something suitable, so we don't have to alter the contract price there. What we were asking them for was it was like a white and gray marble look tile, what we have put in some of the other bathrooms here. And it shouldn't, in 12 by 24 tiles already specified, it shouldn't have altered the contract price really.
Okay.
My idea is behind me, so yeah, I don't think.
So all you doing is providing an update for us?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I don't need it.
Okay. Okay.
And that's everything from us.
Very good delivery. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
I'm good, that's it.
All right, next, Hunter's Bar and Job Plus Rock.
Thank you.
The mayor bring us more paper. It's all right. I know you're working hard.
The top page is the Indeed poster that was posted on Indeed for the lead case manager's position for Jobs Plus, which is 100% funded through the Jobs Plus grant.
I cannot read this. So you got to tell
Oh,
us.
God.
It's just the Indeed.
Okay.
It's just to show you what the company
Yeah,
said.
y'all know what it says.
Okay.
All
And
right.
there were 39 applicants. We scheduled 8 interviews for qualified applicants. We only had 3 to show up. We even rescheduled 2 and they still were no shows. I have provided you with Ms. Keandra Cash. She was the most qualified applicant. I've provided you with her resume. We would like to offer her the position of lead case manager for Jobs Plus. I'm looking for approval to offer her the next phase and running her background check and drug screen. Then she will be offered the position. Yes, sir. I'm supposed to have all staff hired by the 3rd.
I'm familiar with
No pressure.
I started behind the ball, so I'm just trying to keep us where we can keep the grant.
Who was in the interview?
It was the program manager. She came here earlier. She had to leave. She has a meeting set up. I wanted to introduce her to y'all, Ms. Jasmine Jones, and Ms. Cassie Goff, the office manager. I met her, but stepped out because I used to work with her at Gateway, and I couldn't get any conflict of interest, so I did not stay there.
You saying with Ms.
Ms. Cash.
Kim Cash? Okay. Yeah, I was wondering who the young lady was. And you know, I'm getting to know everybody. I'm saying now, can I ask you who's this person?
it. Right, yes, you
I want to
can.
get in trouble.
Yes, you can.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt. We're hoping to schedule a meet and greet once we get all the staff hired, so that they can meet you.
Right.
I'm familiar with Keandra Cash, and I actually asked her some time ago to apply the next time we had an opening, so, yeah.
Okay. All right. What you need from us?
To prove her.
To hire her.
I like the motion that we approve Ms. Keandra Cash for this position. I'm sorry, this position. Master Life Coach?
Lead case manager.
Lead case manager. Lead case manager.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Opposers have the same. That motion carries.
The next piece of paper you have, apologies again, Commissioner Booker, is the advertisement that I would like to post on Indeed, our Ross, for our Ross coordinator, service coordinator. Our funding actually started June 1st, so we're behind the ball on this one as well.
I'd like to, make sure I got the position right. Is that director of resident?
Advertisement for Ross, service coordinator.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Service coordinator.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Ross coordinator for Brunswick Housing.
To advertise.
Advertise.
Second.
My question is, since we're already behind on this, our grant started June 1st, we don't have anyone in place. Once we advertise, is there any way that I can send you the resume to approve before the next board meeting? I mean, because I can't wait another month before we hire somebody.
So the board meeting will be,
The 22nd of June.
Well, let me ask this.
Right.
Can Ms. Jones approve this?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so now that you have an interim executive director, you just,
Yeah, we don't even have to
bring
get
it
involved.
forward.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The next piece of paper you have is the job summary for the community coach, which will be a resident of either McIntyre Court, Brooklyn Homes, or Glen Villa.
Is this a full-time?
It is a full-time position, however, it will be contract labor as will the lead case manager's position.
No benefits?
No benefits. But again, there is strictly 100% funded through Jobs Plus.
And what's the salary?
Did I not put it on there? I didn't, my apologies. I wanna say it's 38 to 42.
Okay.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Like the motion that we move forward with the community coach and advertising.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same.
Thank you.
That motion carries. Thank you.
the last, well, next to the last piece of paper I have is the proposal to place the Jobs Plus into the Boys and Girls Center here at Glenvilla. They have elected not to come back into our facility. I've listed out the price that it would cost to have it repainted because there's murals on the wall of children and different things. We can leave it that way, or we can go in and have it painted. Mr. Williams gave me a quote of $600 to go in and have it painted. If Jobs Plus was able to move into there, our cooking class from UGA Extension Office could go in there. Love Smart could do their sessions there. I've talked with Ms. Hayes, the resident council would have a set area that they could have their resident meetings. They wouldn't have to worry about jumping around. And any other community partner that wanted to come in to meet with the residents, the financial literacy class, everything could be held in that one period.
It's been a while since I was in there. I was there when they first opened it to something different that I forget what they were doing. But, and that's what I even suggested to Valerie about Love Smart to see if this would be before of course I knew I was gonna be served. So I think that's an excellent.
It has a lot of great meeting areas.
And the community coach for the Jobs Plus grant, the residents have to have the capability of being able to just walk in and interact with that community coach. So this would give them a good location to be able to be accessible to any and all residents during hours of operation.
Do y'all think it would be good also, because Coastal, with what we're doing over at Risley, there's a arts committee, and they're the ones doing these these murals around. Maybe getting them to come in and do something once Mr. Williams give them a blank canvas, and it may be able to
We can look at that, would be a great
and
thing.
have the residents and the staff, choose some stuff.
We did that at the well, we
So it
invited
creates-
everybody down, and police officers, commissioners, everybody painted. My only thing is HUD wants to come in June to inspect our office space. Whoever applied for the Jobs Plus grant, the pictures that we already had office space set up, and it's
So-
not true.
They wanna come in?
They were supposed to come this month,
So we need to go ahead and get that done.
but
So
Boys and Girls Club have the building until June 30th.
they're using it now?
No.
They're not, it's empty, but their contract expires on June 30th.
So what we probably can do,
I mean,
we
they're not,
can use, it's a 30-day deal. We can use their proposal, because in the proposal they stated that they weren't gonna use the building, and that was due June 1. So it'll bring us, we can use that as notification from them to us.
That we're gonna go in
30 days.
and, I mean, it is our bill. I mean, I know we have a contract.
Yeah,
Right.
but
but didn't they say that when they met?
they said,
I
but
mean,
what
they
they
said,
write.
but I mean, they hadn't been in there months, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
they have it in writing?
No, they didn't say it in writing.
But they just
They said
have
it
not
not
been
doing this
using it.
proposal. They
Right.
said it in writing.
Yeah, I mean, if they've abandoned the property.
Since December. They haven't been in there since December.
There's pool tables and air hockey.
They said we gotta get them to get their stuff, give them
That's
some
the
days to
only
get their
thing.
stuff out. All this has to be in writing, to get this stuff out.
Can we send them a letter
Mhm.
that, documenting, being that they haven't used the property since December?
And we understand that's their intention not to use it.
Yeah, I don't know, it's not their intention to use it now.
Give them,
And if,
Do we need it from your office or can Mr. Jackson do it?
This is a legal thing,
Yeah.
so we can be
if
consistent.
they abandon that property there, we can always use it for our youth.
Yeah.
right, and I think we just give them a reasonable time to come and
Yeah.
get.
But
And
we
you want
want
them
to,
to
we need to
work-
go ahead and get the painting started so we can set up, because we want to, kind of make sure that what, if HUD said we want to come tomorrow.
And Reggie was just mentioning too, that if we're gonna do that for this building over
We can do
here.
both of them.
McIntyre Court.
And I
Have the
can
murals
probably,
come down and
You're talking about McIntyre?
yeah, I was
Court,
talking
boys,
to Ed about, just redoing updating the kitchen, because both of them have kitchens, and bathrooms in there. It's like we're doing with a budget of like $75,000 to $100,000 to just renovate those things to our needs.
And it's something else I want to present to the board and to the staff that we may want to look at is and this goes in line with our financial literacy. We were looking at doing this over at Risley so that, tenants will have access to, is a free grocery store. You know, families, you know, they get these boxes of food all the time, but you know, it doesn't really help them with their dignity always going to get these. So this concept has been done across the country, and I happen to see this on the Netflix thing with an actress them doing this. And then I met with the CEO of Second Harvest and their and the manager for this site. The county is helping them with a new warehouse grant. And so
Here,
well, I'm just throwing it out. That when we talking about the building,
Yeah, we
if we
have-
set it up,
I've talked to Jennifer about,
you did,
I
right?
have already, yes, sir.
Yeah, so if we do that, then, and we can do it as a collaborative thing as well. But also, we have space over there, bring in the clinic for some healthcare stuff, but I'll talk to you about that.
I've already talked with Chandler about that.
Okay, well, me and you've been talking. I already
I've
talked
done
to you.
this, I've done this a while.
I know.
So,
I'd like the motion that we approve this proposal for our Jobs Plus to
Use the big
use the vacant unit at Glenville.
second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, have the same. That motion carries.
this is not on the agenda, one more piece of paper. We have made our own Jobs Plus logo so that it stands out from the regular housing applications. We would like to be approved to use this for our uniforms as well as the Brunswick housing, but also all of our social media and advertising.
So we don't want to say anything about Brunswick Housing.
Brunswick housing will be on everything as well as the Jobs Plus. It'll be Brunswick Housing Jobs Plus.
Sounds good to me.
Motion to approve the logo.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, have the same. That motion carries.
The last thing I'll mention is on July 15th, we have met with Ms. Hayes on several occasions with the resident council. We're having a large kickoff event on July 15th. It's a Saturday. I've talked with the police departments, we'll have a DJ. Several different community partners are coming out to tell about the different resources they offer as far as job and employment and educational skills, to be present at this event as well.
What's the date?
July
it's a
15th,
Friday,
it's a Saturday.
Saturday.
We're having it on a Saturday.
What time and where will it be?
We're gonna be 10 to 2, and it'll be at Brooklyn Homes South.
A or B? Big one or the small?
Big one. Where Miss Hayes is, we're gonna have it there.
Okay.
Speaking of that, this is more of a maintenance thing. Is the grass growing pretty green and thick over there in that open space like it used to?
What about?
You know, like the playground area and then the area back behind that. I know
You
being
do
the
that Little
big,
Brooklyn,
no, the big main.
In the park area?
Yeah.
well,
I just remember laying down there flying kites, but the grass was very pretty and green.
Oh, that
You know,
is.
so I didn't know if it was still.
It still grows pretty lush back there, but they got like a track
Yeah.
built through it.
A walking track or something.
Yeah, it's like
so we're looking to get a dump tank, so I need times, all y'all wanna come sit in the dump tank for that
I can't
Saturday.
smell, so I'm like,
I would love to do it. I volunteer. I would love to do it. I do it.
It won't be but about this deep.
I love to do it. I love to do it. I volunteer. The kids gonna be doing it. Oh, I
I'll
volunteer.
throw it, that's right. I'll throw it, but I ain't sitting in there.
You're throwing it?
All right, thank you, Ms. Farr.
10 to 2, I'll make sure you get the flyer once it's created. So that
Okay,
you can
all
get all
right.
the information.
Ms. Dyer's not here. Ms. Howe, are you going to do her part, or are we going to defer this?
I think we need to defer that only
Okay.
because I don't have an update with regards to those particular items for you, and I'd hate to.
Okay,
I would like to ask Whispering Oaks. Mr. Williams, you don't get involved with Whispering Oaks at all? Okay.
No, I've seen some of the emails that come through regarding that, especially with the insurance here recently.
Yeah.
And about a few concerns that they have over there. But no, I don't really.
They're
question.
significant. We met, at one of the board meetings, prior to Ms. Strickland's departure, where we all went over there and looked to see what some of the issues were, because that's when complaints started becoming significant with the residents. And that's when, the roof, viewing it and inspecting it was done. We walked through units, and it needed to be painted and pressure washed, and the gutters were falling apart, and the roof was dilapidated and leaking in areas. A lot of the units still had carpet in them, and tan carpet looked like it was black carpet, from mold and mildew issues. So I do recall, I don't know exactly what meeting was, but it was presented to the board, and the board gave approval. I think it was like $1 or $2 million to get those repairs done, and I believe it was the roof, getting the gutters redone, cleaning up the landscaping, addressing the gate. The pool pump was bad. They said they already had it and they were gonna replace it. That kind of has never been done. So those things I know in a meeting, I can ask Bradley to go back in and see if we can pinpoint exactly what key points were approved. But I know the board said, yes, get these things fixed.
I know the roof came up, but didn't we just get an email the other day? I just read an
I
email.
forwarded you, I think it was yesterday.
With all
From the lady.
What Ms. Dyer had, so there was, I think there were two separate things. One was, the insurance folks were asking, what's the update on the
The
repairs?
repairs and the maintenance, because they said they haven't had, right.
Yeah, we have a meeting with her tomorrow.
Cool.
Tomorrow at 11:30.
Finance committee.
Yeah, after the meeting with Yardstick.
Okay.
So the finance committee is meeting tomorrow. Then we'll make some recommendations to the board. I guess by the board meeting, we'll have some recommendations around it. Because that's one of the things I really wanted us to look at.
What is
It's really
Bring
difficult
something.
working with that management company. They're not very responsive to the residents,
Well,
nor are
can
they
we-
to us.
Can we terminate them? immediately?
Terminate them, but
But we need
have
something
a
in place.
replacement.
Well,
man.
Cindy Davis, our site manager who's over in AMP1, she is tax credit certified.
So she could take over the property management
Yeah,
duties?
the only thing with managing, it says you have to be tax credit certified to management, and she does hold that certification.
Okay.
And she has experience prior to coming to this housing authority, working with managing tax credit properties.
How fast can we make that decision?
You can make it at the next board meeting. then, so.
You can terminate them, that's not an issue.
Okay.
So get her to get with Ms. Jones
Okay.
and,
Do-
yeah.
Do we have to have, so she has DCA approval to serve as the,
I believe so, I'll double check, but I was
Yeah.
just organizing and just getting caught up on my filing the other day and came across, and it had been discussed previously, so I knew she had it, but I just verified, she has a ton of tax credit certificate, but
that'd be the only thing, is let's just make sure that, kind of on the front end, if Brunswick Housing's gonna take over the management, using her accreditation, let's just make sure DCA
Okay,
blesses it, and then we can terminate, Royal American.
And that would allow also Mr. Williams to go and look at stuff over there. And,
well, Mr. Williams can go over and look at it anytime he wants.
Since we own it.
You choose not to. You just choose not to.
But it gives us an opportunity to kind of decide how do we tackle these
Right.
repairs? Do we utilize our own staff and incorporate it somehow, or do we explore, putting out,
So,
RFPs, or using these other contract, I don't know how
They
it's
did,
written, but.
they
Well, remember-
definitely issued solicitation to have the roof done over there.
Right, yeah, we did vote on it.
I've seen it. John did it. I've seen it. I forgot the numbers that came out, and I forgot where I saw it. I've seen it.
This is
Supposed to have it done.
$50,000 deductible, that's why the insurance money, which I don't know.
Well, from the email I read yesterday, she was saying something about because we passed the maintenance deadline or whatever getting fixed, that all that increased.
The policy.
Yeah,
increased
so that
because the
increased.
maintenance hasn't been done.
Right. All right, so
How
we need to
does,
make a motion.
quick, no question, how does, Paul Robertson play in this?
He was supposed to, yeah, he was supposed to do the
I think he's
inspection.
waiting for us, right?
Yeah.
He's waiting for us.
He made some suggestions about, I think, this is me trying to recollect, y'all may remember differently. He made suggestions about maybe hiring somebody to be the owner's rep with Royal American to try and get them responsive, and then he also talked about re-syndication and.
There are a ton of other options we have that I think we need to explore right now to deal with the repairs, and make sure that we have it where people can live there, and get the rents, and make sure we're getting the rent, dollars. We need to take more control, and if we have somebody in the house that would meet that criteria.
When we-
Qualifies, it makes
we-
sense.
Yeah, when we agreed to pay them that back money a couple of months ago, they said that everything would go forward once we paid all that money. So we satisfied that complaint, and they still
They
did.
still haven't,
Yeah.
being proactive.
Right. Coastal Outreach Soccer had an award ceremony at the college, and I attended, and Brunswick Housing Authority got an appreciation of your support and investment in our program throughout the years. So this is from Coastal Outreach
Why
Soccer.
not just not showing this?
Because I just now got it.
I'm just.
I just now got it.
I'm just talking.
Save the best for last.
There you go.
So, the Regional Community Collaborative, in partnership with the Body Love Adoptions, is doing a poverty simulation along with a mental health fair. We're touring Greater Watch Ministries on Friday to host it there with Pastor Baker. But they're also looking for volunteers to role play the poverty simulation, because a lot of individuals that work with our residents and individuals we cost can't relate to, am I gonna pay childcare or am I gonna buy groceries? So it's kind of a way to introduce them into the lifestyle.
One of the things that I think is interesting with that Community First is they do have housing authorities where they do have a pantry. And so if we're going to develop some kind of thing about the food desert and things like that, and we're talking about those packaged goods, because how many times do you go to Sparrow's Nest or Second Harvest or drive through those cars and get there, and like Commissioner Booker said, some people have pride that they don't want nobody to know that they're getting
Well,
there.
and it allows
so-
them
Right.
to also calculate, if you do it, it also helps with financial literacy
Right.
because they get checked out.
And so when Mr. Kitson was here, we used to throw ideals around, and we were saying, we came up with the ideal, if we can get into some residents of their business savvy or what they want to do, and they'll feel proud if they came up with the ideal of doing this business, you know, and it can always help with their resume once they move out of here, and that can carry it forward with them, you know what I'm saying? Because when we were talking about getting that land by the skating rink for a garden, we've thought about putting businesses like a laundromat so the workers, they didn't have to leave there. Everything they needed would be right there, like cul-de-sac right there on their property.
Yeah,
So I think
spoke
this-
to the kids about that, the urban gardening. Because
Right.
at Risley, we have a whole full food security plan. And there's a guy that's retired here that works with Colorado Aquaponics.
We're gonna have one of those in the Veteran Village in Aquaponics.
Right, and
We had a guy came here that talked about that.
yeah, and so it flows into what we're talking about with the marine extension person that comes in and teaches them about nutrition.
So we need to make a motion for this, deferring this finance department.
I'd like to make a motion that we defer to the finance department.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same. That motion carries.
We have items for executive.
Oh, sure we do.
I got, school doctors, that's right. I just want to be clear that I have permission to re-solicitate, childcare services.
Yeah.
I move that we, go into executive session after a brief break.
Second.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same. Okay.
Ms. Jones?